Get 'em Jimmy, where low shack at? The bottle's getting empty up the crack and we stacking chips, all of it's what I want. Plus money winners, that's what I'm on. You can say I'm gone. I prefer elevated pub sports radio. Time to get educated, get produced, leave the juice, letting loose with so much abuse that the bookies wanna call a truce. They getting slaughtered. Can't forget Jeff and low baggers in the chat. That's a lethal weapon 'cause we be pubbing.
Gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers. Happy Wednesday, November 8th to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. Great to see the Cappers in the chat, getting ready to get that cash. There's Gerald Jones in the house. Said just checked out Bankroll Blitz. Thank you for supporting that show. I'm locked in. I got 7 bets, and I liked my card a lot. I liked my card a lot. Last week went 6-4. Just being very consistent, keeping everything clean. Had the debacle in week 2, but climbed out of it comfortably and feel good about NFL. Coming off a 6-2 college football week. So in college football and NFL combined went 12-6. Went 3-1 on best bets, 1-1 with CMAC, 2-0 with Dabby Cab. Done 2 best bet videos with Dabby Cab and swept them both, 2-0 and 2-0. And we're back to work with Conor Mac today. We're going to start with we'll open with NHL, then we'll hit the college football slate for tonight before rolling into our best bets. We have 2 games each for best bets. We also have a man making his Betting with the Bag debut. You've seen a lot of him on the channel, but he's never been on this show. That is Picks from Dave. Picks from Dave will be capping college basketball with us today. He's picked out 3 spots that he is attacking. So we're going to break down those games. Then we have Dutch Boy Fresh for this giant NBA card. Kept my NBA very clean. I think that whole idea of just keeping things real clean and in control has been my motto of late. And I've only made 9 bets in NBA. We're 5-4 in NBA. So I'm ready to attack the card today. I feel good about everything that we're doing. I'm putting more energy into NFL than I ever have in my life. And I feel like I'm seeing things clearly. We'll all see how that bangs out. But it's the first time in a long time that I've raised my unit size. And it's just, 1.25 units now in NFL. But, we're consistently winning. And I have confidence. So why not open it up a little bit? Joseph Thompson in the house. There's Jay Smooth, Bo Jackson, Tori Coker, Serious Business, Hector Garcia in the house. Great to see all of you guys. I've got my chat is stuck here. Let me just see if I can fix this. My chat is stuck. Let me just restore the. Oh, no, not hide chat. Damn it. Show chat. There we go. And then, okay, here we go. And then pop this out. Back in business here. Don't know what the hell happened. But I'm back. Okay. Hector Garcia, Bo Jackson up over 10K in 72 hours. I love that. Stacked play of the day is in. Now, we are talking about that very spot, Justin McElvey. Justin McElvey's on Arizona State. Stacks play of the day is in. Let me make sure that is right above our college. So you guys know we are capping Florida Atlantic, Loyola, Chicago, Arizona State, Mississippi State, Jackson State, and San Diego are our spots. Let me copy and paste our look there from Justin McElvey. That is locked in here. Andrew G. Kong's Clips. Yes, I did. We all saw Cody die. It was sad. Very, very inspiring young man, and very sad, very like a script. He watches Cody Wish battle in that last race and then dies on the way home. It's heartbreaking, but he will live on in infamy here in thoroughbred horse racing, Cody, and will carry on his spirit. And the way he loved horse racing, it was a special kid, man, and very sad to see him die, man. Sad. There's Wine Time Sports in the house. Billy Friedrich says only have 1 pick so far. Panthers caps under 6.5 -111. Is it juice now, Billy? Because the Caps have played to 4 straight unders on the first 4 games of their homestand. So why would they give us a 6.5? And it began being juiced to the over, and it was just fishy. I mean, that jumped out at me as well. But something just didn't. Something made me very uncomfortable with that line. But from an X's and O standpoint, I completely understand the look on it, especially with the weakness of these two teams' power plays as well. Steve cashing with the Avs -1.5. Slatsy, my man, looking at Las Vegas over so far. Slatsy was a big part of our NFL show last night. Raymond Reichart, Gregory Wilson, Von Polo ready to get to work. B-Lab 6'9", Ken Wood. Wine Time Sports says he loves the Arizona State look. Jay Peasy says rolling around the San Fernando Valley, listening to the VAG. Wish I was rolling up some San Fernando Valley. We love you, Jay Peasy, my guy. Hard at work, getting that papier. Philly Eagle Flyer ready to eat. LJ from H-Town Trill OG play of the day is in, and it is the Rockets first half +2.5. Let's copy that on this huge NBA card. That is Lakers Rockets at 8 p.m. Eastern. LJ letting us in. Slatsy said stayed off the Flyers last night. Feels like it. And there's Deshaun G ready to go with Chubb. TJ says numbers have me on Caps under. Yeah, of course. I mean, I get it, TJ. 4 straight home unders, on the homestand. Numbers would have me on it too. There was 99% of the cash on the under. So everybody's numbers have them on the under. I get it. I hear you. Billy Freeman says, how about those Sharks? Mel says, big win for the Avs. There's SJ in the house. Rodney Barton in the house. What up, Rodney? Sorry, I put McElvey and Barton together. What up, Rodney? Barton, missed you too. Kong's Clips, ready to go. Guillermo Zertucci in the house. Guillermo's son, Eli, is off to be in the Navy. And what a kid he is. What a young man. He's a man. Eli Zertucci, we will pray for you and pray for your safety, and just you're an inspiring guy. And thank you for your service there, Eli Zertucci, going to serve America. What a guy. What a guy. Stimmy OG in the house, big on the under, 40 in Miami of Ohio versus Akron. And what a job you've done raising him, 2G. What a family you have. You lead by example. Let's get Stimmy OG's action copied and pasted for college football. College football. Here we go. And that's our first one. Akron. Zips. Redhawks. There we go. Raymond Reichart saying Loyola brought in some good transfers. I like Valentine as a coach. It's practically a home game, and I feel the public will be all over FAU because the NCAA run last year. Raymond likes Loyola here. That is worth copying and pasting for our college basketball discussion. Thank you for sharing that with us. And that's our first game off the hop. Copied and pasted there. Fat Cat Ninja ready to get to work. WT with Chubb. Bowling Green first half to kill Georgia, and they're going to stretch out that Kent State with Chubb. Chubby play today on the way, I think. The Chubby play today is on the way. Let's make sure that is ready for us to discuss here in college football. And I wish I wasn't so focused on NFL last night because the college sure went according to our plan. Bowling Green, Kent State. That was heartbreak watching Kent State not cover and lose that last game. Thank God I wasn't on them. Good God. Tom Miggins ready to go. Torrey Coker's on the Heat. First half over 111. Let's get that in. WT joining us from Costa Rica. Major Tom Perky. Torrey Coker on this Heat. First half over. Let's have that locked and loaded for our discussions here. Get that in. Okay. Major Tom Perky Sanderson is on FAU. Says it's free money, FAU. But not all believe in that. Not all believe in that. Raymond Reichart being one who does not believe in that. Let me make sure I got that locked and loaded. Joey Harb, JW. Says, Whit Chubb says, are the 49ers going to lose 5 in a row? Well, first, we got to figure out if they're going to lose 4 in a row before we get to 5 in a row, but it's possible. Kelly McKinnis says, great day to be alive. I love it. Londo. We have Mike. Dan Kelly says, good morning. And Kelly McKinnis has Ohio -9 locked in. All right. Let's get all of this here ready to go. Our man Conor Mac will be joining us shortly. And let's get to work. A couple things, though, here for you guys is our Cappers Contest show tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern is starting to mean something. Back-to-back 4-1 weeks. We're 25-18-2. If we were in the Cappers Contest at Pub Sports Radio, we'd be in 7th place. Now Guillermo Zertucci, he's he's been spectacular this year. We got Guillermo, Preston, and Slaughter leading the way. But we as a group are 25-18-2. Back-to-back 4-1 weeks. There it is right there. 2 winning weeks in a row. So join us tomorrow. Now, it's not November 11th, the Cappers Contest show. We don't want to get you confused there, Jose. It is November 9th is our Cappers Contest show. So we'll flip that. We'll fix that.
Yeah, I guess I'm drunk. Jesus.
It's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You do sound drunk, though. You do sound drunk. All right. It's great to see all of you guys. Let's get thank you, that one, dude. I'm excited to be here. I'm pumped up to be here. We're going to have C-Mac joining us here shortly. But let's get right after it. Before we get into NHL, I just want to share my action in NFL. And none of the markets have moved. So everything is right where I left it. Patriots money line plus 108 in Frankfurt. I love the bet. But I'm going heads up with Troy. He's on the Colts. Baltimore, Cleveland under 37.5. And I have overs in Washington, Seattle. First half over 22.5 and full game over 45.5. And our guy, Dennis Garcia, says it's a clear under and can't understand why I'm on it. Not only am I on it, but Troy Torrance is betting his first over in a year and a half of football. His first over in NFL. And we did not know we were on the same look. So we'll see how that bangs out. Then Saints minus 2.5, Chargers plus 2.5, and Giants Dallas under 38.5. That is our action. So here we go. We're about to get into NHL, and your next guest, we are capping an NHL season together for the first time. He started out very, very strong. Now it's us capping together for the first time. He's a longtime NHL capper, and I'm excited to work with him. We have NHL, then we're going to roll into college football. We have the Wednesday night slate, and then we have our best bets. Please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, the city we all want to be, except for right now because of the construction for F1. Shout out to Kelly McInnes. What a guy. $10 dono to bless our action, to get us going as another week begins anew here on Betting with the Bag. Kelly McInnes, thank you, my friend. Thank you. Please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Mr. Migda Mac Daddy, Conor Mac in the house. Conor, how are you?
I'm good. Let's make some money today because I did get my ass kicked a little bit in the NHL last night. The Preds were a backbreaker to me. Their success in Calgary, and then they crashed. It just was fucked.
You know, it's funny watching Calgary come back. I imagine that I would have lost that. I also imagine because I was just so focused on NFL. I imagine because that under looked like it was going to be, so yeah, that was a tricky spot here. So let's get right to work. We will bounce back here, but this is not an easy 3-game card. So let's get right after it. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern for the Ottawa Senators, 4-6-0, 1-2-0 on the road. The Toronto Maple Leafs, 6-4-2, 3-3-0 at home. We're at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. Jonas Korpisalo and Joseph Wall I have listed. Let us know if that is correct. Korpisalo 2-4-0, 3.44 goals against average, 902 save percentage. Our guy, the Nuke worker, leaving for Vegas 2 weeks from today. I love that, Nuke. I love that. Have a great, great time there, my man. And I did retweet Nuke's karaoke in 2008, AC/DC. It was magic. Some money in the bank. I can't wait to hang out with Nuke at Pubapalooza. And we have Wall being confirmed. Wall is being confirmed here. So Korpisalo and Wall, the line history. Why don't we roll into that right off the hop here? And I find the market interesting here. I don't care about the market, but with these lines where we don't have a huge dog other than what I thought Ottawa was going to be, I think it might be worth us taking a look at them. the cash flow. But let's start with the money line here. The Leafs are minus 162 at home, and I do not remember them being this low of a price at home against the Senators, since the Alfredson days. The Leafs open up minus 167 right now. They're minus 162. The patented Senators first period that's been so good to me, already been good to me this year against Toronto. The risk reward just doesn't feel like it's there for me, or I'd already be on it. From a total standpoint here, we're dealing with the 7. It's minus 120 to the under. This opened minus 133 to the under. So at 7, over 7, we've had a 9-cent move to the over from plus 116 to plus 107. Take a look at the cash flow for this one here. On the total, we just know that 83% of tickets are on the over. The market's moving towards the over. On the money line, 72% of tickets and 94% of cash are on the Leafs, and the market's not moving towards the Leafs. It's a pretty fascinating situation because, unfortunately, the Senators and the Kings should probably be slightly bigger dogs, I feel, for a proper risk reward going into Toronto and Vegas, respectively. And even though I like them both, at this point, I don't know if I want to put my money down on the line for it. Toronto power play 26.8, penalty killing 71.8. Ottawa power play 22.2, penalty killing 75.0. Ottawa comes in with a rest advantage. They were last seen on Saturday night in a 6-4 home loss to Tampa. They're dealing with injuries. Thomas Chabot has been out for a while. Important defenseman. Him and Chickering are supposed to be the leaders of this defensive core. Artem Zub and Eric Brandstrom out as well. We talked about Eric Brandstrom a little bit last week as he was part of that Carlson trade. That has been. Oh no, sorry. Eric Branson was he part of the Stone? Was it Stone trade? He was part of the Mark Stone trade. My bad. They also just lost center Ridley Gregg. He's dealing with a lower body injury. He's so important to this hockey team. People don't understand how important he is and how good he's looked this year. He's tied with the team lead in plus minus with Tarasenko, who's at plus 7. Tarasenko has been much better than I imagined him already this year. We'll see if he can keep it going. 10 points in 10 games. He's a plus 7. So the Leafs coming off snapping their 4-game losing streak with a 6-5 overtime win at home over Tampa. Both teams are capable of scoring. That's just why we see this total at 7. Both teams are having trouble keeping the puck out of their net. And both teams are dealing with injuries to defensemen. Jake McCabe, day-to-day with a groin injury. So the Leafs also have 3 defensemen hurt with Liljegren, Connor Timmins, and Jake McCabe. Their top 3 are just simply dominant. Matthews is got feels like he needs to prove something this year after the only scoring 40 goals last year, which is a down year for him, not a 60-goal campaign. He looks incredible. Marner looks amazing. Now, Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi have gotten to very ugly starts. There's a lot of anger here in the Toronto media about what Bertuzzi's doing and laughing on the bench and just seem to be as intense as they want. Here we go. I've not bet this. I want the Senators' first period, but at what price? Is this enough? Take it away, CMAX, Scotiabank Arena, Toronto, Ontario, just down the road from me. Take it away.
Yeah, what price? You talking about it real quick. And just consistently, Jimmy, while you mentioned this number's not so big with the Leafs, is they've consistently not won at home as favorites. Even coming off a win, if you go through everything, they just haven't been very good, especially as of late. With these big numbers. So I think that's why that hasn't moved at all. Senators, both these teams not been good defensively, letting a ton of goals like you talked about, ton of shots on goals every night. Senators are in a hurt after kind of opening out strong. They lost 5 of 6. They haven't looked great. There's booing. There's a bunch, Chuck's criticizing the fans, the whole thing that's going on there. Maybe it's good for them to get out on the road here. You talked about. Is this enough? Plus money in the first period. I like it as well with the Senators. And with this total, we've moved to 7, which I don't know how you can between these two teams. There's some 6.5s juiced. Once we hit 7, it's just you can't take the over 7. 7 for me at least. I mean, just regularly, I just don't. Just the classic 4-3, 5-2. The 7 gets that push. So yeah, I lean the Sens. I can't do it. I don't trust the Leafs until they get on their little run, and they will. Their regular season, and hopefully this defense gets a little better. I can't take them at all. I was going to look at some props in this game. My props aren't full, but we have these shorter cards, and we just do one unit here. But on these days, that's fine because I don't bet a unit on them. But I was looking at a couple here. Two guys. Matthews, go ahead.
Well, yeah, let's go over who you are looking at because that makes sense. If you feel like the total is too high, what's the way to have correlating action is to focus on the snipers, that you put the puck in the net. So, yeah, take it away. Very interesting.
We get to, like, Matthews, all these guys. I can't take their price, but when I get to 175, and that's what I have with these two guys, you mentioned Bertuzzi, he's at plus 225. You maybe look at him, but I don't want him right now. I got one on each side. I'll take Brady Tkachuk. He's plus 170. I think that price is off a little bit. We're getting a decent number there. And on the other one, I got plus 180 is Mitch Marner. I will take that, right after Matthews and Taves. I'll take him at almost, we're almost getting 2-1. So I took those two guys anytime score.
So that was, sorry, can you give me the numbers again? Tkachuk was plus 170?
170, yeah, and Marner's plus 180.
And Marner plus 180. So when I go a little deeper in this here, from sitting with it now and listening to the cappers in the chat, I think that Ridley Gregg being out of the lineup is big.
Yeah,
I really do. The accountability, the defensive acumen that's nowhere to be found with either of these teams. He has it, and he's been so good. And I also feel like the Leafs are getting hammered in the media for how they're playing.
Oh, yeah. Both these teams are getting hammered, yeah.
Ridley Gregg was between Tarasenko and Kubalik.
Mm-hmm.
And now, you don't really, they're going to have Rourke, Chartier centering that group, those two wingers. This is, I'm starting to lean to the Leafs here because they're getting hammered in the press for how they're playing. People, they're calling for a coach to be fired. They'd lost 4 straight before that Lightning game. And at this point, with Korpisalo not looking good, let's just go over. All I would need to handle would be Joseph Wall and, an expectation of what he can deliver. And he came in last game and he saved the day.
He did.
Now, he had 2 bad starts in a row with the Kings and the Sabres. But why couldn't he get a little confidence off of that? Slat's looking at Tkachuk over 3.5. Billy Friedrich says Ottawa plays tomorrow night at home versus the Canucks. You take Ridley Gregg out of the lineup. You have a Leafs team that is 3-3 at home. You have a number, and this was not part of my plan because you guys know I only really want the Senators first period against the Leafs. But is this number dropped, and there's Jeff Arp in the house says he hates betting on the Leafs. As this number dropped, have they been so bad that now it's right in the wheelhouse of a bet that should be made?
I think they're tempting, at this number. They're kind of like, and it's not moving. We're early in the day. Is this going to start moving? I'm not so sure. I think this stays. Are we going to just get a ton of money on the Leafs and this, goes? I don't know. I don't think so. Not the way they've been playing. I don't think people right now want their money on them.
No, I agree. And that's why this number is this. The Leafs should be a bigger favorite than the Senators, against the Senators. They should be bigger than this. And so, the reason why we always are on the Senators first period or want to have action on the Senators when they play the Leafs is because the Leafs don't seem to overlook them and the Senators care so much about it. But here, the Leafs are not playing well. They're not playing well at home. Wall looked bad in back-to-back starts, but then he looked good, saving the day against the Lightning. I am going to be on the Leafs on the -1 line, and I did not expect that. But sitting with this, I don't think that the market understands how important Ridley Gregg was to the Senators squad, and you'll see it now. You'll see. I mean, it's funny when you look at these two teams. You look at the Senators and the Leafs, and we've now gotten to a point where the Senators have more offensive depth than the Leafs because Domi's doing nothing, Robertson's doing nothing, Yarncroc. Then you have Tavares and Nylander. You put Nyes up on the front line, but when it comes down to it, and then losing Ridley Gregg is a huge loss. So I'm going to move on the Leafs -1. I'm going to move on the Leafs -1 to not overlook the Senators coming in because they're 3-3 at home, because they looked so bad. 4 straight losses and then looked bad against the Lightning until Wall came in. Can Wall get confidence? Can the Leafs get confidence? Is this a buy low spot for the Leafs? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. C-Mac is on Kachuk, goal +170. Marner, goal at +180. And I will be on the Leafs -1. All right. Let's roll on. Next up for us, we move to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Florida Panthers 6-4-1, 2-3-1 on the road at Washington Capitals 5-4-1, 4-3-0 at home. We're Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Sergei Bobrovsky versus Darcy Kemper. Kemper playing mediocre. That's the kind of goaltender he is. 2.94 goals against average, .899 save percentage. Sergei Bobrovsky, he's a goalie I don't trust. 2.68 goals against average, .905 save percentage. You look good at times in the playoffs. You have 2 real bad power plays. Florida is handling with their season without Ekblad and Montour so well. I mean, we move on Florida Panthers futures as soon as we know that Ekblad and Montour are good. Once they played a week and they're good, and they're not just gonna, because with the shoulder injury, you never know if they're gonna go back down. And then they're doing this without Sam Bennett. It's Sammy Reinhart leading the team in scoring. God, he's been so good. I still don't understand why the Sabres got rid of him. 8 goals, 5 assists, 13 points, 11 games played. His dad, Paul Reinhart, one of my favorite defensemen of my youth, was part of our big, he was part of the change in our whole franchise, when he came over from the Flames. And Sammy Griffin, who played at my club growing up, we thought Griffin was going to be huge. Griffin was picked 4th overall. Morgan Riley, 5th overall. Both played for my club team. So, Sammy Reinhart, he's also tied for the lead in the Panthers in plus-minus. Panthers coming out 5-4 overtime win at home over Columbus on Monday. Now, I have a rule. You guys know the rule. It's a steadfast rule. It's made me a lot of money over the years. I will never I will only fade a team missing 2 of their top 4 defensemen, let alone their top 2 defensemen. But what has happened now is the Panthers have been dealing with this for 11 games, and you get better at dealing with it as the season goes on, unless you suffer more injuries. This total is at 6.5. How could it possibly be at 6.5? It just makes no sense at all. The Capitals have played all 4 of their first 4 games of this homestand to unders, and way under. And it's a shocking situation for me to see the 6.5. I was certain that we'd see a 6, and then we see a 6.5, and it was juice to the over. Now it's come back, but that was shocking to me. The Capitals opened up at +122. They're now +118. At this point, I don't know how anybody could bet either one of these hockey teams. Slatsy is Panthers to score first. Am I blurry? Let me know if I'm blurry. Nate Dogg saying, am I blurry? Let me know if that's happening. I can probably fix that. JW says Ovi started to shoot yet. Yeah, he has, but he's got a shooting percentage of 4.7. I mean, I think he's got like 43 shots or something. He's got 2 goals. One was an empty netter. He does not look good. He does not look good. I want nothing to do. I'm not going to bet on the Capitals one time all year. I mean, I don't want to make it a black and white thing. On the money line, 71% of the tickets and 92% of cash are on the Florida Panthers. On the total, you have 75% of tickets and 95% of cash on the under. It would 95% of cash on the under. It was 99 earlier. This is one of the things where it just doesn't make sense. They're still dealing with Joel Edmondson out. Nick Backstrom's career is likely over. Kuznetsov is sick. This is such an ugly roster for the Capitals. Such an ugly roster.
Just like put together with glue, or just trying to hang on.
It's awful. Stimmy OG is big on the Panthers. Take it away, C-Mac. Maybe a spot will open up for me. Panthers, Caps at Capital One.
Yeah, the Panthers, you just mentioned, they've kind of just been able to. I think you were talking about earlier in the year, you didn't want them, and I didn't blame it. And they're kind of just been getting by. And it seems like game after game, just together. And it's kind of defensively, it's been that bend but don't break. This is kind of like them. We see this in football where they don't give up a touchdown. That's how it is here on the ice. I kind of think with the Panthers early on. Flip side here with the Caps, they've been ugly. I haven't bet them at all. Jimmy, I don't want to bet them either. They've gotten a few wins here lately. I still don't think they're a very good hockey team. They're banged up, like you mentioned. I like the under in this. I haven't bet it. I thought one thing, this in this matchup though, Jimmy. Yeah, but they were just teams of the past of the Caps. These games would fly over. It seemed like Panthers Caps games over the last 5 years. You put a 6.5, it'd go over. And maybe that's just not right because this is just two different hockey teams right now. You talked about how good Sam Reinhart's been. I'm going to hit a prop in this game. I already hit his brother. This is cash for me 3 or 4 times already. Matthew Tkachuk, over 3.5 shots on goal, -120. I have to take it. He seems like he's getting 5 at least every game. He's got to do his work. We know what he does. So I took that. It was at that price, -120 with Tkachuk. I had to be on it. And I'd lean under. I think the Panthers, I'd like them a little bit here. I just don't love the 140. I think they get out of here with a win. But in the end, it was a pass.
Yeah, I think that the best spot here for me would be to take the Panthers team total over 3.5 at plus money. Because something's fishy. I know that Washington are not able to score and they're playing all these games to unders. And I don't want to bet on the Panthers to win. And maybe if they score 4 goals, they're not losing this hockey game. So
I don't think so.
Yeah, so maybe that. I just don't want to. Now, again, 11 games without Montour and Ekblad. They're starting to get a little more comfortable with it. The Capitals have won 3 of 4 on this homestand. Am I supposed to sit back and watch the Capitals win 4 or 5 on the homestand and be 6-4-1? I don't see a world where that happens. Ekman Larson and Forsling, Kulikov, Mikula, Mahura, and Mike Riley. The Capitals are making people money, and I just don't fucking buy it, man. I just don't buy it. They're such a bad hockey team. And this line is not moved at all to the Panthers at all. Let's just look at this one more time. Opened up -137. It moved immediately over to them a little bit, but God, I will fade the goddamn Capitals. I have to fade them. I have to bet on a team missing two defensemen. It's just this total is so fishy. 99% of the cash was on the under 6.5. It jumped out to all of us, and yet they were something's not up. Something's not right here. Now the Florida power play is just not scoring at all. The Brandon Montour having a puck moving defenseman is so important.
It's huge. It is big time.
And Oliver Ekman-Larsson's not him. Steve G, loving your looks on Tkachuk tonight. Okay, I know we don't have time to sit here and hum and haw, but let me just quickly, very, very quickly move and just take a look at exactly what's going on with the Panthers' last couple spots here. So they lose 5-2 at Chicago, and then they win 5-4 at home in overtime. I just can't. They're so much better than the Capitals. The Capitals are such a bad hockey team. And here we have a chance to take advantage of a Capitals team that's won 3 of 4 here at home. And look who they beat. They beat the Sharks 3-1 and the Blue Jackets 2-1. They lose to the Islanders 3-0.
3-0, yeah.
I think that this is probably the right number for the Panthers here against the Capitals, and I'll bet them. Panthers -1. Let's move on.
This seems like the 3-2, 4-2 game, maybe, or 4.
It does, but I'm telling you, like, if we look at what the Capitals have done these 4 games, so there's not been a game where more than 4 goals have been scored. There, that 3-2 in the shootout. In the last 2 games, 3 goals have been scored in each game, and they put it at a 6.5 and give you no vig on the under. And I do still believe that in the NHL that things that are too good to be true are fine, but that just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, let's roll on here. We have Matthew Tkachuk over 3.5 shots, and that was at -120. C-Mac.
Yep.
And then I'm going to be on Panthers -1. Let's move on to 10 p.m. Eastern. Los Angeles Kings 7-2-2, 6-0-0 on the road. Get your futures in. I mean, I'm only holding on to the win the West at +850. But if the Kings were playing the Golden Knights in the series right now, I would be really excited about the dog. And the market understands how good the Kings are. I mean, this line is shocking. You have a Golden Knights team coming off their first regulation loss, and here we are with the Kings down to +105 at some books. They open up at +118. They're down to +113. So, look, I get it. I get that Sean Childress in the house. What up, Sean? There's Mikey M ready to rock with us. Andrew G says Kings' first real test. I don't think it's a first real test. I mean, they went into Toronto and beat them badly. They've swept their road trip, Toronto, Ottawa, Philly, and then they get to go home after the Philly game. Right? They go home, then they fly into Vegas. They're so deep and so big, and they're so good. They come off their first regulation loss of the season, 4-2. The Knights do 4-2 at the Ducks. Nicholas Roy out. That hurts them. Zach Whitecloud also on IR. Nicholas Hague day-to-day. What a start by Wild Bill Carlson. I wouldn't
he's
expect like this.
Just quiet, it seemed. And I thought he was quiet but good last year on the run to the Cup. But, yeah, Wild Bill. People love him here in town, too.
Well, he was so funny in the parade, drunk and out of control. So funny. He's a +12 in 13 games, 6 goals, 9 assists, and 15 points. When you see the +12, you know that a lot of the damage he's doing is 5-on-5. So, look, I love the Kings, but if I'm going to fade a team that's 7-0-1 at home, I just want to be rewarded financially. And maybe the market's telling us that the Kings are gold here, but I do not feel the risk reward is sound here, even though I love the Kings. So you have a team that's 6-0 on the road against a team that's 7-0-1 at home. Take it away, Connor. What's your plan here for Kings Knights?
And we have just unconfirmed Talbot and Hill. Okay. I just wanted to double check that. This one's tough. Hill, yeah. I've bet both these teams probably 4 or 5 times, and they've done is cash for me. And now they're playing against each other. I've had the Knights. They've just rolled already for me. And I've had the Kings 3 or 4 times. I had them against the Leafs, like you talked about, on that trip where they won 4-1 against the Leafs. They're a big team. I think this could be a really, really good hockey game. I kind of lean that there gets over as well. I just, in the end, didn't love it. The Knights have just been very good. After the loss to the Ducks, they finally lose one. I don't think it's a huge deal. And, they've been so great at home. Jimmy, it's just tough to fade them. But in the end, I couldn't get there in this one. 2 teams I made a bunch of money with. I kind of want to take the Kings. But it's just lately, I just haven't wanted to fade the Knights at home.
Yeah, I get it. I've been done well with the Kings, but I've not backed the Knights. I've not been fading them, but I've just left money on the table clearly here. This total's gone from 6 to 6.5. We hear Slatsy saying over 8-1-1 last 10 meetings. You would think that, and TJ saying 5-on-5 Kings are far superior in expected goal differential. And that's clearly, what the market's saying here. And you would think when these two teams play against each other with such, they're the clear top 2 teams. Well, the Avs have something to say about that. So 2 of the top 3 teams in the West. And you would think there'd be intensity in a low-scoring game, but the market moving. Slatsy says, Byfield starting to show for the Kings. My final pick in the hockey pool, Slatsy, 14th round, baby. Sorry, C-Mac, what was your question?
I was just looking at the number. I might move on this over 6 if I can get 115 here. I see a lot of 120s.
Well, let us know, or you can still make time to think about it today and tweet it out, and we'll add it to your record. Nate Dogg says Vegas money line, lean draw, and leaning over. Sky Dragon giving us the Philadelphia 76ers money line here at home against the Celtics. Dutch Boy Fresh will be joining us for all of that. Philly Eagle Flyer saying stepping on Vegas puck line. I can't wait to watch this hockey game. Let's review all NHL action. I'm surprised at my card, but we'll see how it works out. I'm surprised at my card. I did not expect this. I'm going to be on the Leafs -1 tonight. Did not expect to be there. C-Max on Tkachuk and Marner, a goal, respectively, +170 for Tkachuk, +180 for Marner. Then he's on the other Tkachuk brother over 3.5 shots in Panthers Washington, and I'm on Panthers -1. I don't live in a world where the Capitals are a good hockey team, where the Capitals can win 4 or 5 in a homestand. I don't know. I don't live in that world. So I'm going to back.
That world's over.
That world's, that doesn't exist. And the Panthers, backing a Panthers team missing Montour and Ekblad, something I would never do. Well, they've been missing them for 11 games now. So, all right, we are locked in, and we'll see if there's an addition in Kings Golden Knights. Let's move on. We move on next to college football. That's next on our slate. We're going to talk about the 3 football games this evening, and then C-Mac and I go into our best bet segment. And C-Mac loved one of the games I chose, and I love one of the games he is using. And I almost that's on my. I was probably going to use this tomorrow, but I haven't bet it yet. So and that's the Indiana Illinois game that you picked. I love that one. All right, and Bo Jackson on Golden Knights money line says Talbot 3-6-1 on the road versus the Knights. Okay, let's move on to college football here. Wednesday night action, Maction. We go to 7 p.m. Eastern, and we have the Akron Zips at the Miami of Ohio Redhawks. Akron 2-7, 1-4 in the MAC had the wild comeback on Kent State. Absolutely wild, unbelievable. That's the most interest I've been in a game that I didn't bet in a long time. And we had looks from our chat already. Kelly McInnes has given us Ohio -9. He's locked that in. Stimmy OG is big on the under 40 here. We're in Oxford, Ohio, and it's warm. I couldn't believe how warm it was. And it's so much warmer in Oxford, Ohio, than it is in Kent, Ohio. We're talking 20 Fahrenheit difference.
It's wild.
And it's freezing up here. It's below freezing when I took Ella to school in the morning, so I guess it just gets so much colder as we move.
That's crazy.
Forward.
70 degrees.
Yeah, 12 miles per hour. So it's a beautiful night in Oxford, Ohio. Take a look at the line history here for this one. Over here, and let's fire. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong one. Let's fire away here at the line history for tonight's college football action. Sorry, I should have had this set up. I apologize. And we're here now. So from a point spread perspective, we are sitting here with Miami of Ohio 17-point favorites. They opened up at -17. They got up to 17.5, got up to 18.5, and then there's been buyback. The buyback started in the last hour. This has moved 1.5 in the last hour. Let's get over to the total for this one. Interesting buyback on Akron. Very interesting. We have this total now down to 37.5. It opened up at 44. Good God, that's a huge move to the under. Wow, 6.5 point move towards the under. Let's move over to the cash flow and see what's going on here. You can imagine a huge bets have been placed on the under, and it's not. Oh, that's spread. Okay, let me go over to all markets. And here we go. So for the total, we have 48% of the tickets and 71% of the cash on the under, and it just keeps dropping. Hearing cappers in our chat on that under. 64% of the tickets, 62% of cash on Miami at minus 17.5. And we have this move back to Akron. Akron comes in off their first FBS win of the season. They defeated Kent State at home as 3.5-point favorites. It was 27-10 Kent State with less than 10 minutes left in that game. And we were on Ball State last week, and that cashed. And I let this squad go. And that being Kent State and Kenny Burns, who I really kind of like. And I couldn't believe it. I was beating myself up. And then it was 27-10 Kent State with 10 minutes left in that football game. And Akron comes all the way back. Miami of Ohio bounced back from their 21-17 loss at home to Toledo by winning at Ohio 30-16 as 7.5-point dogs. But they were outgained 363-291 in the loss. Take it away for us here, CMAC. You have broken this game down with Bobano. That video breakdown is available on our homepage at Pub Sports Radio YouTube page. Take it away for us here, Akron, Miami of Ohio.
Yeah, right when I, looked at this, Jimmy, I think Akron can hang around maybe in this game a little bit. Look, you see this total that you talked about. Was 44's dropped way down. There is some wind, but you mentioned the weather is very good. Akron just defense is not great. And the thing with Miami, Ohio, I just don't want to lay that number with them here. This is just, there's just certain teams like this in the MAC. We'll get to Toledo here in a bit. I don't want to lay 17.5. I think if you look at Miami, Ohio's way, is you look at their team total. This team got to 30, and that's another thing. Their offense isn't explosive. They're not great, Miami, Ohio. So you're taking a shot there, at this 26.5, the team total in this game. In the end, I had to lay off. That's where I look. Instead of laying the points with Miami, Ohio, I looked at their team total. If you can get under the 27.5, 26.5 in this game. Akron's just not good defensively. And that was a perfect matchup with Kent State, who's worse, just two bad teams going at it last week. And Akron's played good defense at times in certain games. Like Buffalo, they played a couple low scoring. That's another reason why, these points with them maybe could hang around. But offensively, Akron's they've been awful. Miami, Ohio, too, people loving them a little bit, I think, because they've been great against the number, Jimmy, 7-2. But now they're a massive favorite. They've probably been a dog or a short favorite all year long. They haven't laid this number. So it's just tough to do. So I think you look at Miami, Ohio in this, you look at their team total, it gets there just because Akron's defense. But I think Akron maybe could be in the mix in this, especially maybe the first half. In the end, I think they get worn down. They don't have the offense. They lose.
Yeah, the question is, are the Red Hawks going to get up for Akron?
No.
If the answer is no, I don't see why Akron wouldn't be in this game. We're talking about Miami bounce back in a huge way at Ohio. I think this money's kind of sharp on the other side, coming in, moving it from 18.5 to 17.
Oh, yeah.
Can Akron continue the momentum from the last 10 minutes of that football game? I
think under Cuffler's big. We talk these turnovers in games with quarterbacks. Like, he'd have to be clean. And he was last week. He had his best game. Obviously, it was against Kent State. Not this Miami defense, but then you see where he struggled. Bowling Green, like the game before that. 234, he had 2 picks. So, what do we get?
Yeah, I just wonder. And then, there's some truth to this call from Billy Friedrich, and this might keep me off of this, that this is their first Maction game. They've been playing on Saturdays when nobody cares about their football. That's a really good point, Billy. They know that everybody's going to be watching here. That's a really good point. Okay. I guess at this point, that's going to keep me off Akron. But I'm going to put a couple question marks beside it. But that's a really good point, Billy. And we're talking about primetime action. Okay. So we are off of that one, but Stimmy, OG, and Wine Time both on the under 40. That's dropped to 37.5 at Pinnacle. So great job there.
Yeah, that was a good number.
And let's move on to the next spot on the board here. We have Bowling Green Falcons 5-4, 3-2 in the MAC at Kent State. Golden Flashes 1-8-0-5 in the MAC. We're at Dick Stadium in Kent, Ohio. 54 Fahrenheit. Oh, let me see if I can help Jose with that. Moving here. Bowling Green is next up. Come on. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Jose. Here we go. Bowling Green Falcons 5-4, 3-2 against the Golden Flashes. 54 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 8 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We've already heard from Whit Chubb. He's on Bowling Green first half -5.5. Let's see what we are dealing with. First off, from a total perspective, this has dropped to 40 at Pinnacle. All the other books are showing 40.5. This opened up at 41. From a point spread scenario here, we have Bowling Green as 10.5 point favorites. They opened up as 7.5 point favorites. We've moved 3 points in their direction. We take a look at the cash flow for this spot. We have 27% of the tickets and 58% of the cash on Kent State, but those big bets on the Golden Flashes are being disrespected by the books. 66% of the tickets and 87% cash on the under. We've seen it drop a point. Bowling Green comes in off their third straight win, 24-21 at home over Ball State as 4.5 point favorites. They didn't look very good in that game. Ball State got us the cash, and I got you guys the cash again last night. Kent State remains winless against FBS competition. That 31-27 loss to Akron was heartbreaking, but Tommy Ulatowski was good, 15-23 for 229 yards and 3 touchdowns. Why didn't he play more against Buffalo? My whole plan in that bet against Buffalo was that Ulatowski was kind of changing the script here, and he's not bad. And I like Kenny Burns and everything he's saying, and I believe he will build a team here, in Kent, Ohio. But I don't have a look on this spot right now. Take it away for us, CMAC. We have Bowling Green at Kent State.
Yeah, I didn't have a look on this game at all either. Bowling Green, one thing, I'd have to look at them because Kent State's just fallen off the map. They're just a wholly different team. I can't look at anything in the past. Bowling Green, too, different team than the last couple of years who have been awful. Now they're a team laying 10 on the road. But one thing I've looked this year that's a good sign is they've gone on the road and won. They beat Buffalo by 10. Of course, they beat Georgia Tech. We all remember that by 11. So they've gone on the road and gotten some wins. Bowling Green's just a better team here. If it under 10, I'd lean at the 9.5 to Bowling Green. But over the 10 here, I just have to be off. I want nothing to do with this. I wonder with this total, Bowling Green has a pretty good defense, has some solid numbers. Can Kent State get it? If they get 2 touchdowns, I think Bowling Green, this maybe could slip over. But this is a total I don't want to mess with either.
Sharp money on the under here. And Kent State can let 3 touchdowns in 9 minutes against Akron.
Ulatowski, you talked about, that was against Akron. Can he step up here?
I could not believe that they let that happen. They're about to win their first game FBS. Kenny's about to get his first win. I just could not. I mean, what heartbreak. Imagine the drive home with Kenny Burns. Oh, God. So no action for us there. Whit Chubb on Bowling Green first half. Perky made a big bet on Bowling Green at 7. And One and Done Sports is on Kent State right now. So not a lot of action here for us. We do have best bets coming up. We're going to be loaded for college football, but how much do we want to get involved this evening? D-Rock looking at Bowling Green team total over, and Ian Shaber leaning towards Kent at 10. Let's move on to Eastern Michigan Eagles, 4-5, 2-3 in the MAC at Toledo Rockets, 8-1, 5-0 in the MAC. We're at the Glass Bowl in Toledo, Ohio. Ron Crawford has said that he likes Eastern Michigan. The only thing I've done with Eastern Michigan is fade them. We had Western Michigan as a best bet last week, and that cashed for us, and I faded Eastern Michigan with Jacksonville State. I'm 2-0 fading Eastern Michigan. That sort of gets in my head, and it doesn't need to. 55 Fahrenheit. Showers will start during the game, 7 miles per hour. Eastern Michigan had 4 turnovers in that loss. This Toledo team is the real deal. They opened up that year with that 30-28 loss at Illinois, and they've won 8 straight. They come in off a 31-13 victory at home over Buffalo as 15.5-point favorites. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one, Toledo, Eastern Michigan, sitting at 19. We have 3 double-digit favorites in Maction, and God, this is where the favorites. It's a graveyard of favorites, Maction. Toledo opening up -19 at -107. That's where they stand right now. The initial move was towards Eastern Michigan, but it's come back. From a total perspective here, we have this sitting at 45.5. It opened up at 46. It went up to, I guess it never went. Oh yeah, it went up to 46.5 briefly, and then back to 45.5. And cash wise here, we have we have 63% of tickets, 74% of cash on the over. It's dropping. Then you have 72% of tickets and 72% cash on Eastern Michigan, which I understand at this price point. Take it away here for CMAC, the last game of Maction, the Glass Bowl in Toledo, Ohio.
You talked about now it's a little bit going the other way, which I don't like. But I think if you get to the key number at 21, which I don't think it hits, I like Eastern Michigan. They're awful. Like, when you break down these teams and go through everything, it is tough. They just have not been good. And this is one of the worst Eastern Michigan teams in a few years. It seems like even when they have, we know the talent that they could put it together, and they have a 6-6 year. Jimmy, they just are not very good. Yeah, it's offense. The defense isn't much better. Like, when you just look at this, it should be 20 points here. Look, Toledo got out big real quick last week, hung on. They finally covered a big number. There's just no way I could lay points with Toledo. Toledo wins this game. How motivated will they be? They're just on cruise control. It's like just cruising. So I want the 21, of course, but I don't think it gets there. I'm going to have to take these 20 points with a bad Eastern Michigan team.
Wow. I wonder if it's team total, Team total over 13.5 is plus money for Eastern Michigan. And they get to 14 points in this game.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, they've had some close games. So early on in the year, they lose 25-6. They've had a bad loss. Was that Jacksonville State? That 21-0.
Yeah.
Nothing there. And then last week. But other than that, Ball State, 24-10. They lose to Northern Illinois, 2013. Beat Kent State 28-14. Central Michigan, they lost 26-23. I remember the UMass game. I had that. I cashed that 1917 game. I think it could get there. They've had a few where they haven't. I think the line's right there.
Well, CMAC, you are in. Eastern Michigan plus 20, -110. Ron Crawford with you on that one.
And they've been great as a dog. And this year, they have cashed a couple, but they haven't in certain spots. Eastern Michigan, where in 3, 4, 5 years, Eastern Michigan really as a home dog has been great. And one thing with taking the points, they haven't been good at away here on the road, Jimmy. They just, Eastern Michigan's 0-4.
Yeah.
4-1 at home. That's another tough thing. So, but I think it's a ton of points. So I don't think I wait to get to 21. We're on the show. I'll take the 20.
Well, you got it. Eastern Michigan plus 20. I want action as much as anybody, but which dog is the most appealing? If we look at what gamblers think of which dog is the most appealing, by far it's Eastern Michigan. Now Kent State has 58% of the cash on them from 27% of tickets, but the books are pointing and laughing at those guys, moving the spread 3 points. So, I mean, I don't know how you can take confidence on that one. Thank God we have the next segment, or I would have to force something in here. I mean, I've got question marks beside Akron. I'm interested in your look with Eastern Michigan.
I'll be right back.
Okay, my man. I mean, I wonder if you're in Vegas, I don't even know. I can't even do that. These are 3 ugly, ugly football games. We're about to get into our best bets segment. We'll get into that as soon as our man C-Mac gets back. But while we have a second, let's move over here and discuss NFL while we have a second, waiting for C-Mac to rejoin us for best bets. I really like my card. The Chargers plus 2.5 is, and my 2 college games, and just like last week, the best bets went 3-1, and every single thing I read was against my action. It's exact same this week. Every single thing I read, everybody's against my action, which has been working very well in college football. It's running real nice right now, leaving totals alone and only moving on sides. I want to touch on a couple spots here because I find them fascinating. Right now, 96% of the tickets and 99% of the cash on the spread is on the Detroit Lions. I mean, is that not absolutely wild? I mean, is that not just like beyond comprehension? Why? Because they beat Oakland, because they're coming in off a bye, because everybody loves Dan Campbell and wants the Lions to succeed. I mean, that's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. All right. So I moved on the Chargers plus 2.5. Moved on the Chargers plus 2.5. Okay. Let's get C-Mac back in action here. C-Mac, it is great to see you. Jose is on is mobile right now, so it's a little tricky, I hope, and is not connected right now. So let me make sure I can set up our first game here, and it is right there. Beautiful. Okay. So let's pull it out, Jose, and then I'll introduce the segment and then bring it in. Thank you. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to Week 11 college football best bets with Conor Mac. Conor, it is great to see you. We've been running nice on these best bet videos. Let's keep it rolling. C-Mac has picked 2 games, and I have picked 2 games, and I really like one game that C-Mac has chosen that we'll open up with, and C-Mac really likes the next game that I've picked. So that's the order. We're going to go chronologically. So we're going to start at 12 p.m. and end at 7 p.m. C-Mac, are you ready to rock, my friend?
Let's rock it.
Let's do just that. C-Mac starts off NCAA best bets. We go to Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois. 47 Fahrenheit, sunny, 4 mile per hour winds. Indiana Hoosiers 3-6, 1-5 in the Big Ten. At the Illinois Fighting Illini, 4-5, 2-4 in the Big Ten. Let's get into the line history here for this one. This one is sitting with Illinois minus 6.5. They opened up at minus 6 and they moved to 6.5. There's been times when the 6.5 has become quite juiced, and there's times when it's come back. Right now, the 6.5 is juiced to minus 112. You get almost no vig with Indiana plus 6.5. And I'm very interested in Illinois. This was on my short list for the games tomorrow with Dabby Cab. This was going to be on, and it was Illinois. This total has dropped down to 43.5. It actually stayed. It's only been at 43.5 at Pinnacle. All the other books right now in front of me are at 44, except for my bookie. That's at 43.5. We get to the cash flow for this spot here. We have here quickly. Sorry. We have 69% of the tickets and 95% of the cash on Illinois. Now, that's not a spot you want to be in, but at this point, there's only 815 tickets counted. At least it's moved a half point, and it's not, 90% of the tickets. It's 60, whatever. What was it exactly? It was, sorry, back to the spread. The spread has 69% of the tickets and 95% of the cash. And that's the reason why I didn't make today's show for me, was because I was a little concerned about being on a favorite that was being so backed by the public. But I want to fade Indiana after snapping their 4-game losing streak with that 2014 win at home over Wisconsin, 7.5-point dogs. They were outgained 344 to 261 in the victory. It's just the type of spot that I like to fade a team. Illinois comes in off its second win in 3 games, 27-26 at Minnesota's 2.5-point dogs. And a 6-year Ball State graduate transfer, John Paddock, relieves Luke Altmaier, goes 3 for 3 for 85 yards. It throws a 46-yard touchdown pass. Lives out a dream here. That was with 50 seconds left to Isaiah Williams. Altmaier dealing with an upper body injury, and Jerzon Newton couldn't play in the first half because of a targeting against Wisconsin. So yes, they have a similar foe in Indiana. Played much better against Wisconsin. I don't care. I don't. I want to fade Indiana in this spot, but I haven't moved on it yet. And I want to hear your breakdown, T-Mac, to see if I will. Here we go. Conor Mac, best bet number 1, Hoosiers Illini at Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois.
Yeah, in Champaign, I think this is going to be just a good football game. That's going to be close. And I don't see Illinois running away with it at all. Even though the spot might be good here for them, Jimmy, I don't buy it. They've been able to beat anybody by a touchdown all year long. And I like what Indiana's doing. You talked about how they got beat last week with Wisconsin on the yards. They did get turnovers, and that would be key in this matchup. And we got a guy in Altmaier that can turn the ball over for Illinois. And both teams, though, turning it around after horrible starts. You couldn't tell me to bet Indiana. I had them last week, and I'm going to go one more week in a line I just think is too much here that in a field goal game. Sorsby was okay. He didn't turn the ball over. That's just, I think that's key. And he needs to not do that here on the road. And Indiana, which I get your side, has not been good on the road. That's a problem with them. They've been awful. They're 0-3. But I love how they're turning this football team around. They kind of have this defense that can get beat, but they kind of bend but don't break. Wisconsin dealing with a ton of injuries. They're a team that should be laying points this week, but they are at home. I think a surging Northwestern team that's playing better. But in the end, in this one, I think the matchup's just too close. I think this is dirty. I think this game is gritty. I think it's a field goal type game. As much as Illinois might win this, at the touchdown here, I have to take the 6.5 with Indiana. I'm just riding them. They're playing a lot better football, and I think it's tight. Give me the 6.5.
Do you expect Altmaier to play?
Yeah. I mean, what do you have on his injury?
I tried to find out. Upper body injury.
Yeah, just undisclosed. That's what I think he goes, though.
It's a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
So I think that Paddock goes. And maybe
it could be.
So maybe this is a must wait, because do you think that if they announce John Paddock is starting, this goes down to 4.5?
It might go down a little bit. I don't really trust Paddock. Quarterbacks can come in though, have good and bad. You know how it goes.
They love
in college.
They love this guy. He sat as a backup and not complained once, and they love him. And I thought that Paddock was going to start here, and
it's still wait. There's so many more, Jamie, where I have to just wait because there's a lot of QBs dinged up that I couldn't give, with bets on some of the games that I like, that are out this week that there's just question marks on. So I had to wait.
Well, we played the injury issues like a fiddle last week because the idea of us backing Jacob Zeno and EJ Warner, both off concussions, both off of buys, and they both threw for over 400 yards. It was just absolutely magic. I'm interested in Illinois here. I'm certainly not going to move on them now. I thought that people thought that Paddock was going to be in it, and this was a line for Paddock, but maybe that's not the situation. I don't know if I got too caught up in that drive that he put together. And
It was good. That drive was solid.
But maybe I did. Right now, you can get 6.5 with no vig. Do you want to see what a 7 is?
Yeah.
Because I wonder if it's the 6.5 minus 102. I wonder what the 7 is at Pinnacle, and Pinnacle now a legal book up here. So let's just take a quick look at the spot here for CMAC. This is his first best bet. He's on Indiana, the dog here, and he has. Get this. Here we go. Indiana. If you want the +7 right now, you get that minus 119. Is that too expensive?
I'll take it.
Okay. All right. CMAC is in. Indiana +7 minus 119 available at a Pinnacle. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. The next two are my action. We move on to NC State Wolfpack 6-3, 3-2 in the ACC. At Wake Forest Demon Deacons 4-5, 1-5 in the ACC. We're at Winston-Salem, North Carolina, 58 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 4 miles per hour. Move over to 2 p.m. and the stuff that I've read on the game, this is another situation just like last week where everybody is on the other side of my planned action. And I plan to be on Wake Forest +2. I don't plan on it. I bet it. I'm on Wake Forest. I could have got the minus 108 or minus 109 Pinnacle, but I sent it in at minus 110. 2.5 and minus 110. This line has not moved. The spread has not moved at the 2.5 number. And from a total perspective, over here, from a total perspective, we are sitting with, so many games here. This 2 o'clock spot. We're sitting at 44. This opened up at 44.5. It's dropped a half point. We see a lot of 43.5s on the board. And then let's get over to the cash flow as well. Sorry that this is taking a little longer. College football always kind of takes a little longer. It's wait till college basketball trying to find all these games. So here we go for the cash flow. You have 20% of the tickets and 29% of the cash on Wake Forest. You could say that this spread makes no sense. The public is all on the other side after watching NC State's back-to-back impressive victories. And something is real fishy about this. We don't know what's going on with the total count right now. We got 99% of the tickets on the under. They're not giving us a cash line. But here we go. NC State comes in off their second straight home win, 26 over Miami, 6-point dogs. And MJ Morris did not look good. 11-21 for 123 yards and a touchdown and a pick. But the defense looked excellent. But Morris, I don't think he can be counted on. He's completing 55.8% of his passes in 4 games so far this year, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And not only that, but they played 4 of their last 5 games at home. I know they're playing against tough competition, but that is very helpful, getting this streak of home games. They are an offense that puts up 318.3 yards per game. Now, we know they're a very strong defense, and we know that defense travels. Wake Forest comes in off a 24-21 loss at Duke at 6.5-point dogs. They opened up at 12.5, but with the Leonard injury, that went down to 6.5. They outgained Duke 400 to 267. Damon Claiborne and Justice Ellison are monsters, absolute monsters running the ball. And Mitch Griffiths, he struggles at times, but is there an advantage over MJ Morris? I mean, you could say that there is. Look, I think this is a very fishy line for a reason. NC State playing 4 or 5 games at home, now travels on the road to Wake Forest, and I think Wake Forest pulls out the upset victory. And it's not a big upset victory. You would look at this team that's 1-5 in conference and think that they'd be bigger dogs than 2.5 at home. Take it away for us here, CMAC. Your thoughts on my look on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. NC State, which I had both, I talk about their road and home just difference. I had them last 2 weeks. And, they beat Clemson and they beat Miami pretty handily, even though some of the stats in those games are, were a little different in that matchup. And now they go on the road and it's only 2.5 here. Yeah, this smells fishy in this game. One thing though, it's been impressed with NC State is the defense, like you talked about, and I think that helps them in this game and keeps this game close. But, now they have to go on the road and win by 3. Morris is a game manager. And I thought that defense has just gotten better and better each week with NC State. Now can they bring it on the road? On the flip, Wake Forest struggles to score. We all know that. It's not easy to watch. They blew that game. I was at home against Pitt, or they won. Sorry, but other than that, they've lost a ton. I remember they barely squeaked out Old Dominion early in the year. It's been a struggle for this offense all year long. Grievous is not good at all, but their defense, I thought, has been good, pretty good. It keeps them in games, and at home. This is a homecoming. They've talked about how big this game is here for Wake. You know what? I wish you had over the field goal just to be safe, because I think this game is just low scoring and tight. And I really like the under. When these teams get together, the last 3 or 4 years at Sam Hartman, they're throwing the ball a ton. There's been a lot of overs. These teams get together, it's just a shit ton of points. But these two teams are just playing different football right now, Jimmy. So, I leaned to this under, and it's already dropped. If you got a 45 or 44.5, would be a lot better. Classic 24-21 game maybe, or 23-20. So I just lean to the under, and I don't mind it. It's going to be ugly, but Wake Forest at home, this is a game they desperately need. But I don't know if they get it. I think it's tight.
4 victories on the year. They win this one. One more and they get.
Oh, yeah. I was looking at it last night. They need to win a couple, be bowl eligible.
I love it. I love the spot. I love how fishy the line is. And I'm moving on. I moved on this morning. I've moved on 2 bets so far this week, just 2. This is number 2 for me. We go to 3:30 p.m. Eastern. We have the UAB Blazers 3-6, 2-3 in the American, at Navy Midshipmen 3-5, 2-3 in the American. We're in Annapolis, Maryland, 54 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 7 miles per hour. We cashed on UAB last week on the money line, and now we fade UAB this week with Navy. Let's take a look at this line history here. This game again pops off at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. First off, this total is sitting at 54. That's where it opened, is at 54. Hasn't moved at Pinnacle. From a point spread analysis here, we get the Midshipmen as 3-point dogs. This +3 is at -116. It's juiced quite heavily. This opened up at 4.5, and it moved to 5 2 minutes after the line opened. We're talking about Sunday night. Then on Monday at 10:09 in the morning, there was a 1.5 move towards Navy, and then 4 hours later at 2 in the afternoon, there was another 0.5 point move. At that point, we're down to 3s, and the 3 got more and more juiced all afternoon, but until it moved to 2.5. This was sitting at 2.5 before there was a little bit of buyback on the Blazers. Mm-hmm. And with the total this high, it's fair to wonder, can Navy score enough to stay in range here. So UAB put up 614 total yards in the victory. Jacob Zeno had career high 484 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. That was our best bet with CMAC last week. We were discussing whether we thought Zeno would be in the lineup, and I thought we found out, got some information that he was going to be there, and he was coming off the bye, and it was just a perfect spot. And he's got a great group of receivers starring Jermaine Brown. UAB has failed to cover the spread in 7 of their last 8 road games against non-ranked teams. And Navy comes in off that 32-18 loss at Temple. That was another best bet from last week. We were on Temple. That was an easy casher. They could not slow down E.J. Warner. Warner threw for 402 yards and 4 touchdowns. So now with Blake Horvath and Ty Lavatai out with injuries, it's Xavier Arline time. And this is not your typical or 3rd or 4th stringer. This guy has played a lot of football. He's been a quarterback here for a long time. And the problem is he's 5'9". So he's been overlooked his whole career. And Navy's defense is coming off being obliterated by Temple. Their offense was 3 of 15 on 3rd down. Alec Texa, who's been someone that you can have faith in all year, runs 8 carries for 20 yards. Look, they all were awful last week. They were so bad. And Navy is going to bounce back here in Annapolis and beat the Blazers and I only have 3 points. Some people got 4 and 4.5, but that market's moved quickly. Take it away for me here, C-Mac. What are your thoughts on my look on the midshipman?
I like it, especially if you got the 4 or 3.5. I've talked about it at times the last few years. Navy's struggled at home. This teams at times just hasn't been able to win there, but they're a home dog in this matchup. We all knew UAB off the win. They've been the shit on the road. I mean, UAB, now they're a small favorite. They're 0-4 on the road this year. After the win, they got to be feeling good on themselves. And Navy, you talk about just gashed. And thank God I got points because I had that over in the Navy Temple in the fourth quarter. I thought it was too low. It kept moving and moving. I got it at like 44. It got over. But Navy should be able to move the ball here. And I think this game is tight. I like your look, especially if you have over 3 in this game with Navy. I think they cover here. I'd also, obviously with Navy, but one thing with UAB, it is just up, down, up, down. I think it could creep over. I'm not going to probably bet this total. I think there's other ones on the board that are better, but I'd lean to this game getting over.
I love it. Those are my first 2 spots on the board for this week, coming off 6-2 last week. C-Mac, we go on to your final spot on the board, and it's a big one. West Virginia Mountaineers 6-3, 4-2 in the Big 12 at the number 17 ranked Oklahoma Sooners 7-2, 4-2 in the Big 12 Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. 56 Fahrenheit clear, 4 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history here for this one, and we have Oklahoma sitting as 13.5-point favorites. They opened up at 12.5. It went down to 12. But it's moved in their direction since then. 13.5 is the number. Move over to the total for this one. We have this total sitting right now at 58, juice to the over. This opened up at 58, being a 7-cent move towards the over. Let's then look at the cash flow for this spot. We hear Robert Franklin on the over, 58.5. We have, just blew past it. Here we go. We don't know what's going on with the ticket count on the total right now. Just 1,885 tickets in, and there's no information. And the spread is 50-50. You got 48% of the tickets on Oklahoma and 50% of the cash. West Virginia comes in off its second straight convincing win. They defeat BYU at home as 12.5-point favorites. They outgained BYU 567-277. Oklahoma comes in off back-to-back tough road losses. It started with that 38-33 setback at Kansas. That was our NCAA live stream for CMAC and BWTB. And then they failed 27-24 at Oklahoma State in what is the last schedule of Bedlam. Again, a 7.5-point favorites. Take it away here, CMAC. Is this a Sooner bounce-back spot? Is West Virginia feeling good about themselves? Both bowl eligible. Take it away.
Yeah, this will be week 3 straight of me fading Oklahoma. They are at home. They might win this football game, but I don't want them laying 2 touchdowns here. We're finding out this defense isn't as good, as it was earlier on in the year and who they played, which I thought would happen. We've seen that with a few teams, Washington and others, where I was getting ripped. It was just wait till the schedule gets a little, in conference and shit like that, and we'll see the real defense come through. I go back to last year. This game, West Virginia won 23-20. A lot of the same players in this. And this is when JT Daniels went out of the game. Green was in, and he did well. And I think Green's gotten better all year long. I mean, I've been more impressed with him passing the ball, too. And when I go through the schedule, one thing with West Virginia, their defense was great early, and it's not been great lately. And I do think we get points in this game, and it could creep over. And I might have a small bet on this over. They've gone on the road, TCU, and beat UCF handily. They kind of crumbled at home against Oklahoma State late in the fourth quarter. BYU is just awful, and they beat up on them 37-7 last week. I think this is just too many points. I think West Virginia is just as good a football team right now as Oklahoma, and this is just way too many in the end. And I think they can hang around in this game.
Third straight week for CMAC fading the Sooners. Let's get the line for you. 13.5, pretty prevalent all over the board. Let's see if we can get one with low juice for you. This is the final game of our best bet segment, and we have 13.5 at Pinnacle at minus 109, 13.5 at Bovada minus 110, 13s, and we see 12.5s on the board too, but 13.5 for CMAC on West Virginia, plus 13.5 at minus 109 for our guy CMAC. To review action, CMAC's best bets: West Virginia plus 13.5 and Indiana plus 7. My best bets: Wake Forest plus 2.5 and Navy plus 3. And that is our best bets here for Wednesday, November 8th, week 11 in college football. CMAC, great working with you. I love these best bet segments very much. Keep up the great work on hitting the books every Monday afternoon. Pub Sports Radio's #1 show alongside Bo Bano. And please follow CMAC on Twitter at Conor Mac Picks. CMAC, my man, any last words for the Capper supporting the show?
Yeah, shout out to the chat, North Ender, my guy Bo, Billy. Add this, Jimmy. The give me that over. Bookmaker was 115. Kings, Knights. I'm on it.
And did you with a 6?
6 minus 115.
Okay, CMAC getting the 6. I'll review all of CMAC's NHL action here over 6 minus 115. Nice job getting the 6.
But JT, Philly Eagle Flyer, Cheshire Cat, everyone in here, appreciate you guys. Let's have a day. I want to hit this real quick, Jimmy, just to throw it out there.
Hey,
these games either I'm going to bet or I've been looking at. Alabama, I think you lay it or nothing in that game this week. Northwestern, Coastal Carolina as a pick'em at home, playing really good football. I think you look that way. This game, Utah, Washington. The over, I lean over in that game, but I think it's close. I think you take the points with Utah, even though Washington can win that football game. Washington, talk about their defense not playing well at all. I think this game, they own it. At Kansas, I'd hate to fade them again, but I think Texas Tech is live. Take the over 61 and the plus 3.5 in that game. And we're question marks here. I had Rice last week, Jimmy. Daniels, there's question marks with him. That's 14.5, so that's a weight. But I'd look over 59 in that game.
At that. That's on my short list as well. Was backing UTSA here, and it's a lot of points. It made me nervous, but that's on my short list right now. Where do you lean sidewise?
Well, it's with Daniels. I just lean over. I'd like to take Rice. They're just different on the road than at home. I've had them a couple weeks this year. I've actually bet Rice football, Jimmy, and they've cashed for me with them. It might be too. UTSA started to play a little bit better this year. And yeah, it's moved to 14.5. We'll see if he goes. We talked about the NC State under in your game. I think SC Oregon, you only look over. It's kind of the same with Florida, LSU. I took LSU over every week. As long as Daniel's a go, that goes over in that game. And UCLA, Arizona State, this has got hit a little bit too much to the under. But I can't play it now, but I lean that way. Just a few I wanted to rip off for you while I was going through.
I love it. C-Mac, is there any of those spots that you've now talked about that you want to make official here for record keeping, or are you still working on them?
No, I'm still working on them.
I love it. There he is, Conor Mac Picks. Thank you for making time for us on these Wednesdays. Would love it. Let's get that cash, my man. I'll review all of C-Mac's action here shortly. Anything you want to say before we move on, my man?
No, let's get paid. Have a good one. I'll see you soon, college basketball. Kill it with Dave and Dutch. Let's get it.
I love it. There he is, Conor Mac Picks. Now we move on to college basketball, our first college basketball segment of the season. And our guest is actually making his Betting with the Bag debut. We got to hang out with, I guess, we've shared the screen for hours and hours and hours and hours, but never here on our 11 a.m. time slot on Pub Sports Radio. And I'm very excited to have him in the fold here for college basketball action. Every single game that is talked about here when we're joined by our next guest is a game that he has bet on, every single one of them. So without further ado, please welcome star of the Picks from Dave YouTube channel, now making his home in Arizona by way of California. Please welcome Dave Rogers to the show. Dave, how are you, my friend?
Howdy, howdy. I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. I'm excited about this card. I'm excited. It's a great time of year, and we're putting in so much time and energy and effort into our action, and we're reaping the rewards. And we're very excited about having you here as part of the Betting with the Bag Low Bag Squad. So it's great to see you and great to have you here. Let's get right to work. We have a couple fascinating spots that you are attacking, 3 spots, but we have a lot of action here from cappers in the chat on these games. So let's get right after it. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern with the number 10th ranked Florida Atlantic Owls at Loyola Chicago Ramblers. We're at Wintrust Arena. We're at Wintrust Arena here for your first 2 spots here. Your first 2 spots are both in Wintrust Arena, and the season begins for both squads. Let's set the table up for you here for this one. Get into the line history here and let you fire away. From the chat, we've heard from Perky Sanderson and Raymond Reichert on the other side of each other. Perky Sanderson says, you already know FAU minus 4.5 is free money. Says, listen to the Perk man, go buy something nice. Raymond Reichart says, Loyola brought in some good transfers. So you feel like Valentine is a coach. This is practically a home game. Feels like the public will be all over FAU because of the NCAA run last year. And he likes Loyola here. So let's get into the line history for this spot. Or to NCAAB. And let's fire away. We have Florida Atlantic right now at Pinnacle at minus 6.5. There's been a constant move towards them. This opened up at Pinnacle at minus 5. It dropped to 4.5. It was at 4.5 last night. It moved at about 12:40 a.m. to 5. It was at 5 until 4:40 this morning at 5.5, and then moved to 6.5 at 8:45 this morning. From a totals standpoint, get this over here. Sorry about that. From a total standpoint, we are sitting here with a 142.5 at most books, 143 at Pinnacle. Sitting at 143, and it opened at right there at 143. It did drop to 142 for a little while, but it's back at 143. And then when we get into the cash flow for this spot, we have 33% of the tickets and 58% of the cash on Loyola, but the line's not moving in their direction. And then you have 58% of the tickets and 65% of the cash on the under. Take it away, Dave Rogers, your first official pick of the young season on our show, Florida Atlantic, Loyola Chicago.
Yep, excited to be here, excited for college basketball. And what we've seen with what you just said is get ready for ridiculous line movement overnight, which for guys that try to find early lines like me can be good or bad. You can look really stupid because sometimes you're wrong. This time we're looking pretty good. I got a minus 4. And this, before even really diving in, this one jumped off the page at me. And I'll tell you this, we were in San Antonio betting March Madness, and there were some people on the Florida Atlantic train and some that weren't. I was not. I bet against them every single game. And boy, I think it did so well that weekend. That might have been the only bet every day that I lost. But either way, this is a team that went to the Final Four. Their top 2 players, John L. Davis and Elijah Martin, they were going to go in the draft, and they said, no, I want to come back and I want to possibly win a championship, or at least go back to the big dance and have a shot. And that kind of shows you where Dusty May is taking this team, when you can pull players away from the limelight and the money and all of that and bring them back to get that and be part of a team. So that says something there. They actually return everyone except for Michael Forrest, and that guy's their top guy in the program ever for shooting threes. So maybe that's that, or 3-point field goals. And maybe that's of concern a little bit, but like I said, everyone else returns. And this team last year was in the top 15% in scoring and scoring defense. Now, when you look at Loyola, they were in the bottom 15% in both of those categories. And when you look at each of these teams' ATS, you have Florida Atlantic, who was the 4th best team ATS at 69%. And you have Loyola, who was the 4th worst team ATS last year at 29%. And I know that there's new guys that come in and out, but the real problem here, I think, is the coach, who took a program that for a decade in Loyola, Chicago, one of the best mid-majors, Sister What's-Her-Face, that old biddy that sits on the sideline, forget her name. But either way, we knew about her because this team and the old coach Moser built them up. Drew Valentine was an assistant. He took over. They went to the Sweet 16 in 2021, and then he ran the team into the ground last year with 10 wins. So it's a team that's going in one direction and a team that's going in the other direction. And I had my number at 8. So I would say bet this up to 7 to give you a point, 7.5. Don't go to 8. It's not going to go to 8. I think it's going to stick where it's at, but I'd lay the wood with Florida Atlantic. I did.
And when you send this to me at -4, -115, if you ever want to lock in these lines, we could just tweet.
I don't play it like that. I post what I post at night for where I post it, and then for the show, I'm going to play what people can get now. That's only fair.
I respect that.
It's really going to screw up the next game because the next game line dropped too.
I respect that. Let's take a look at what if we can give you a 6. Bookmakers moved it to 7. Heritage has a 6.5, -108. Pinnacle has it -109. And if we take a quick look here, move over to basketball. Let's just see what Penny can offer you for. It's also out of my own curiosity to see what the 6 is. If you did want the 6, it's at -119. The 7's at -102.
You can make it in 119.
I can -6 at -119.
Okay, let's do that.
All right, there you go. That's available right now at Pinnacle. We have Dave in -6 at -119. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We stay in Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois, for Arizona State Sun Devils at the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We've already heard from Justin McElvey. The stacks play today is Arizona State +3.5. Let's see what we are dealing with from a market perspective here. Mississippi State sitting at -4 at Pinnacle, 3.5 everywhere else. It's moved to 4 at 7:41 this morning and has stayed there. Take a look at the total here for this one. From a total perspective, this has dropped, as you said, it's dropped like a rock. Wow. This opened up at 136. Last night at 9:41 p.m., there was a 3.5 point move to the under down to 132.5. Then at 9:55 this morning, drops down another 2 points to 130.5. At 10:39, it drops to 129. Then there was a buyback. There was a 1.5 buyback to 130.5, but it's back at 129.5 right now. There still are 130s out there. Lots of 130s out there, but 129.5 here at Pinnacle. And cash flow wise, the line moved slightly towards Mississippi State, and only 19% of the tickets, 24% of the cash is on Mississippi State. And then we have, from a total look, just 49% of the tickets and 46% of the cash are on the under, and yet it keeps falling. Robert Franklin also on Arizona State. Take it away for us here, Dave Rogers, Arizona State Sun Devils, Mississippi State Bulldogs, your pick number 2.
Yep. So this is you. Obviously set this up perfectly. This total has dropped like a rock, and I caught it somewhere in the middle at -134 to the under. I would say, and I actually at Unibet, if that's a book you can get, and WinBet, which I can't get anymore where I'm at, and I don't know what's going on with them. You can get 131.5, but either way, get the best number you can. I'm on the under, and really the reason why, I mean, if you look at some numbers from last year, time of possession, ASU is actually above average, but Mississippi State's almost at the bottom, 312th out of 363. They're just a very slow playing team, and that's what they've relied on as their defense to get them to the tournament last year, and that's just how they play. Now, as far as scoring went last year, ASU was middle of the pack, 71 points, 165 overall. But Mississippi State, again, was in the bottom 10%, 15%. At 308. So really, in choosing this is in what Mississippi State is doing, and not so much Arizona. Arizona, you have kind of a fair to Midland team, and the Mississippi State, you have a slow grinding non-offensive team. And when you look at last year, at the totals, Mississippi State was 13-21 to the under. That's 38%. And ASU was about 50%, 18-17-1. So this took off the page. Neutral, they're playing in Chicago. Like you said, it's a neutral floor, which is always good to the under. And Mississippi State's going to be without their top 2 scorers, by the way. Not that they are a great scoring team. Find the best number. I think this goes under 130. 129 is not great. I wish you guys still got a 132 or a 134. Just get the best number you can. I'm still going to put it in at the best number we have, but I did bet it at 134.
And that was the juice over at Unibet on the 131.5.
Let me pull it up.
There we go. The under in the Sun Devils Bulldog spot.
112.
Minus 112. Under 131.5 at minus 112. Justin McElvey on Arizona State plus 3.5. So is Robert Franklin. Let's move on to our last spot on the board here for Dave Rogers. Every game that we talk about will be a game that he has bet. Move to the Jackson State Tigers at San Diego. Both teams have started their season already. We're at Jenny Craig Pavilion in San Diego, California. Let's get into the line history here for this one. This one, from a total perspective, up to 146.5. Now, this opened up, that's at Bodog. My bad. Let me go over to Pinnacle. 146.5. It opened at 147. We've dropped down to 146.5. And when we go to the spread here in this one, we have San Diego as 1-point favorites. They opened up minus 1.5, and they've stayed right around that number. So there's been a slight move towards Jackson State. We'll get a better look if we go to the money line. I'll give us a better look, see if we can get it popped up here. Here it is. From a money line perspective, Pinnacle has San Diego. This game, 10 p.m. Eastern, has San Diego at minus 112. They opened up San Diego plus 101, and then there was a huge 29-cent move towards San Diego. Since then, it's only been buyback. Got all the way down to minus 105 at 9:49 this morning. It's back at minus 112. From a cash flow standpoint here, we have 28% of the tickets and 72% of the cash on the spread on Jackson State. On the money line, it's 21% of the tickets and 51% of the cash. So it looks like sharp action is on Jackson State. From a total perspective, 38% of tickets and 61% of cash on the under. Take it away, Dave Rogers, your final spot on the board here. Tigers in Jenny Craig Pavilion in San Diego, California.
Yeah, my number in putting this together, because I make my own number and try to start from there, shows a lot of love for San Diego, and I don't see it. So this is kind of a gambler's first glance game for me. I thought that I'd lean Jackson State, got off that bet. Then I went and I remembered USD was a huge over team last year. They put up 76.3 points a game. That's 45th. They gave up 81.6 per game. That's 357, only 6 back from the worst team in college. And then Jackson State, they scored 67.6 points and gave up 73, which is the under. But I thought maybe things would be different there. They had some people come in, some scores, but one second here. There we go. I had to pull up my notes. I clicked the wrong button. But really my focus here is on USD. Even though they were that team last year, the consensus, there was a poll that was put out amongst coaches in that conference, in the West Coast Conference, and they are dead last in that poll. Steve Lavin should go back to commentating. I think, it's not 20 years ago as glory days at UCLA. I don't even know why he's coaching. But USD brings in 9 freshmen. There's 15 players on a team. Are we going to rely on this team to score the same as they did last year? I'm not. And they only put up 68 points against Sonoma State last game. Sonoma State's a Division II school. So when you have a team like USD that's known for scoring and Jackson State that's kind of a below average team, and you have a number that's dropping at 148 where I got it, I took the under. I leaned towards the over. It also had to do with both of these teams' time of possession or possessions in a game. They're top 15%. Last year, they were top 15% in the league, but Jackson State just didn't convert. And I don't like these 9 freshmen, and I don't like the coach at USD. Give me the under.
Under 147 available right now. So that line didn't move too far away from you because you got the under 148. Let's review all of Dave Rogers' action here before we get into this enormous NBA card. Dave gets his card started with Florida Atlantic -6 at -119. He bet it at -4, 2 points worse, giving it out here on the show. Then he's on the under 131.5 in Arizona State, Mississippi State. He got 131.5, but he bet 134. So another move that went heavily in his direction. And then under 147 in Jackson State at San Diego, under 147, and he got that at 148. So all three lines have gone in his favor, but it may hurt him here as official picks that can be bet right now and this very second. Dave Rogers, thank you so much for joining us. Tell us what's going on the Picks from Dave YouTube channel.
Well, thanks for having me. I enjoyed it, and I'm excited to with this college basketball season. It is one of my favorite things to cap. But Picks from Dave on Twitter and Instagram. I don't really post on Instagram. It's just there. Billy Briz said I should be doing it. I think maybe we should all, but I'm an old head, I guess, that way. But on Twitter, and then on YouTube, I have a YouTube channel. We do shows on Friday nights called Nerd Talk. It's basically a live betting show and a preview to the weekend. And then we have the super mega unnecessarily long all day, all sport Saturday stream, because now we just don't have college football. We're going to have college basketball. That starts at noon Eastern Standard Time and goes into the late hours. And we have a good time on that. Also be on Jimmy's Monday night NFL show, sometimes on the Sunday night, and then on Mike's show on Thursday night. So I'm a busy guy.
We love it, Dave. Thank you for making time for us at Picks from Dave on Twitter. Moving on 3 spots in this college basketball card, and you will see more of them right here on Betting with the Bag. Thank you, Dave. Any last words for the Capper Sport in the show?
Nope. Good luck to everyone. Thanks for having me. Shout out to the
There he is, Dave Rogers in the house. It is time to move on to NBA. We stay on the hardwood and head over to NBA. And every Wednesday, we have our guy, special guest, join us. And he joins us with these massive cards. He has to do so much work for us. And please know that we recognize the enormous amount of work that you've put into these cards, and we can't wait to rock with him. He's helped me get off to a winning start in NBA. Let's keep it rolling. Please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada, ready to cap this giant NBA card here on Wednesday, November 8th, Mr. Dutch Boy Fresh. Hey, what's good? Oh, you're muted, my man. There we go. There we go.
We good?
Yeah,
right. We need a motherfucking bag. Salute to you and all the real ones holding us down in Wi-Fi land, man. Yo, the NBA is a hell of a drug. And you're looking at the plug. Yeah, man. How we doing, Jim?
We are doing great. What a giant card for us to attack. A lot of opportunities for us. Wine Time Sports says he's got a lot of NBA bets today. Says, let's get this money. Going to shock the world with the play today from Wine Time Sports. Bo Jackson, Andrew G. Mikey M says the fresh mofo in the game. Let's get to work, Dutch, and thank you for joining us. We start at 7 p.m. Eastern. Washington Wizards 1-5, 0-4 on the road at the Charlotte Hornets 2-4, 1-2 at home. We are at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, and these two teams are playing with a lot of pace and not a lot of defense. Wizards coming off their 4th straight loss, 146-128. The least amount of points they've allowed in those 4 games was 121 to the Heat. The Hornets are also losing games and allowing a ton of points. In their last 4 games, the least amount of points they've allowed is 124. They've allowed that in back-to-back games. One of those they actually won, 125-124. Washington's playing at the fastest pace in the league, 106.83 possessions a game. Very fast. Charlotte, 4th, 103.42 possessions a game. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. Our first game on the NBA board today. Move over to pennies moves. This is sitting at -2.5 for the Charlotte Hornets. They opened up at -4. We've moved 1.5 towards the Wizards. From a total scenario, we are sitting here with the total at 240. 240. This opened up at 240. It got up to 241.5, and it's been dropping to 241, down to 240.5. Actually, there's been U-shaped movement up to 241, down to 240.5, down to 239.5, up to 240.5. Take a look at the cash flow here for our first spot on the board. And from a cash flow perspective, we have 39% of the tickets and 72% of the cash on the Wizards. Market moving in their direction. 60% of tickets and 52% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Wizards, Charlotte Hornets, first game on our board.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our guy, DC Capper. I see you. That one dude. Yeah, man. I've been in 702 for 15 plus years now, but they come from Florida. Jim, we got a big card. I got, as I just tweeted out right now, 3 sides, 2 props. But I don't got a goddamn thing on this game. As you mentioned, the Wizards don't really do much defensively. I've been liking what I've seen out of Mark Williams, the guy down low. For the Hornets, I believe there's value on him with points and rebounds, but sometimes he does get in foul trouble, and that's the only thing really holding him back. Obviously, the Wizards don't really have much down low. I don't even know if Gafford's playing, but outside of that, they really don't have anything down low. So Marcus Williams should be able to get some points and rebounds down low, but big card, not looking to be putting my money on the Washington Wizards and the Charlotte Hornets.
Gafford is in right now. So I get not wanting to make the move over with these two teams that don't play defense, but with Gafford in, a 1-5 Wizards team, the market's moving towards this 1-5 Wizards team, 0-4 on the road. Do you disagree with the market move then from 4 to 2.5? Or do you think in a bum fight, take the points?
No, I lean the Hornets here.
I lean for Dutchy towards the Hornets.
I back the Hornets at the crib. I don't like anything that's going on in Washington. It's like a fucking almost a Harlem Globetrotter show with Jordan Poole and them boys out there.
Wine time on the Wizards. Moneyline says they're going to run these boys out the gym. Robert Franklin on the Hornets and the over. Raymond Reichart is on the Wizards. And Will Rizzo says Hornets team total over is the only thing. Jarek White on the Wizards money line here. Sky Dragon on Charlotte and the over. Robert Franklin on the Mark Williams double.
I like it, Robert. I like it.
We move on. Next spot on the board for us, 7 p.m. Eastern, Utah Jazz with a rough start to their season, 2-6, 0-4 on the road at the Indiana Pacers, 4-3, 3-2 at home. We are in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Utah's pace so far this year is 9th in the NBA, 101.75 possessions a game. In Indiana, second fastest in the league, 103.79 possessions a game. It gives you an idea how fast the Wizards are playing. They're more than 3 possessions faster than the second fastest team in the NBA. Jazz lost 3 straight. They lost at home to Orlando. It was on our Friday show. Then they went into Minnesota and got destroyed. And then on Monday, and that was on Saturday, 123-195. And then they went and lost by 17 at Chicago. Not looking good, and have allowed 253 points over their last 2 games. Pacers bounced back from the loss at home to Charlotte by beating up on the Spurs on Monday night and putting up 152 points in the process. There's some wild scores from this Pacers team. They lose 155-104 to the Celtics 4 games ago, then beat Spurs 152-111. And injury-wise, Kessler is a game-time decision. So if Kessler's not there, it'll be Kelly Olynyk at the 5. It'll be Olynyk, Collins, Markkanen, Horton Tucker, Clarkson. The Pacers are a healthy group right now. A healthy group. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. First off, we have an even higher total than Washington, Charlotte. Total is at 241 right now. It opened at 241.5, got up to 242, and it is dropping. From a spread perspective here, we're sitting with Indiana as 6.5-point favorites. They opened up at 6 went down to 5.5, and now 6 and 6.5. And then cash wise for this one, 72% of the tickets and 77% of the cash is on the over, and yet this total is dropping slightly. And then 77% of the tickets and 81% of the cash is on the Pacers, and that line initially dropped or headed towards the Jazz. Take it away for us here, Dutchy. Jazz Pacers at Gamebridge Fieldhouse.
Yeah, man. Shout out to our guy BJ. He's saying his best bets are the Rockets plus 2.5 and the Nuggets money line. I like where he's looking. I like that. Shout out to our dude. Yeah, man. You said a lot about this game. To me, man, Utah is just, I don't know. They just gave up 130 points to the motherfucking Chicago Bulls. So, you got the number one scoring offense in the league right now. I mean, I know it's only been a little over a week, but they're scoring 125 a game. The Indiana Pacers shooting it from the arc, spreading the ball around. Hallie looking like top tier point guard in the NBA. So I don't know how they don't drop 130 on these motherfuckers. I really don't. You just mentioned that starting lineup. I mean, even especially if Olynyk's in there. But even with Kessler, they really, it doesn't scream defense at all whatsoever to me. So a lot of overs with the Pacers. I believe Eric Jones leans over here. Strong lean to the over as well. I have 5 bets placed, which is a lot for me. But I do like the over in this game, and I would definitely strong lean to the team total over for the Indiana Pacers. I think they'll be able to do what they want to do offensively against a suspect Utah team, who, as I mentioned, gave up 130 to a struggling Chicago Bulls team. And Zach LaVine didn't even, he had 24, but he went 1 from 6 from 3. I watched the entire game. It wasn't very impressively. It was almost, didn't really try that hard almost. And not too many things clicked and still dropped 130 on Utah. Have lost 3 straight. I lean Indiana here all the way. Probably should get to the window here, Jim, with the team total and the over.
All right. Well, let's put the leans at this point, though, for you, right, Dutch?
Yes, sir.
On the over.
What's the team total?
I will grab the Pacers team total over right
42 now. For the over. Just, it seems pretty sharp, but honestly, this game should, it should get up there. It should get up there because Utah can score the basketball as well, and I don't believe they can stop. And obviously, Indiana's had issues defensively as well.
123.5 juice to the over.
Yeah, you can make that official. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll place that bet after the show.
Dutch is in on the Pacers team total over 123.5 minus 116 here. While we look there, I'd be curious just to see what Bet365 has done with this total themselves.
125, man, that's easy.
And they also have 123.5 juice to the over. It's a little more expensive. It's minus 120 there.
What the juice you got for me on that? My bad, Jim.
Minus 116.
Okay, all right, bet.
Gary Malone says Walker Kessler was just downgraded to doubtful. Thank you. At least 250 points here. Brent Cook says Pacers could win by 20. DG says I don't trust Indiana in this point range, and I don't feel like betting Utah. He's passing. Both Robert Franklin and Justin McElvey on the Markkanen over 23.5 points. Brent Cook says the Pacers thump the Jazz. Eric Jones says 8-2 over spot for the Jazz. Robert Franklin on the Pacers minus 6.5. And again, I know you got the shout out from Dutchy BJ, but thank you for sharing your action with us. Billy Friedrich says Pacers first half team total is only 61. That's a bigger difference than you would expect. Yeah, 61.5, and that's juice to the under. Wow, that's interesting. All right, let's move on.
You don't like this game, Jim? I thought maybe you'd like this game.
Well, I have a bias towards the Jazz. I want to bet them. And so with Kessler out or doubtful, do I think that the Jazz don't play at a pace that's conducive to 250 point games. And so my initial thought legitimately was that I don't know if either of these teams, if you put the pace together, should be sitting here with a total at 242. But hearing all you guys believing on the over and betting team total overs, I'll comfortably stay off of this. I would like to still not bet. And up 5 says bet the fucking Jazz, Jimmy. I respect that up 5, but I'm 5-4 this year. That's it, and I'm 5-3 on sides, and I'm just keeping everything really tight now. We talk about the importance of winning. I can't stress it enough how important it is to our lives. And baseball season took a chunk out of me, and I've got to be really, really good right now. So and then I'm coming off my first losing season in NBA with you guys watching, in the 6 years. And it's just, I can't go through that. I'm not capable of going through that. So
I absolutely hear you there. I've left a little money on the table, I feel like, with the Pacers and the overs so far. So that's probably why I added it. I feel like I've kind of left a little bit on the tables. In the brief part of the season, I believe I've only won 1 over on them, and I probably should have been on them 3 to 4 times. So I gotta start pulling the trigger on these teams that I think are a little bit more bummy games. If I like it, I gotta fire.
I think so. Yeah, no, I agree. Let's roll on to one of the high-profile spots on the board. 7 p.m. Eastern, Boston Celtics 5-1, 3-1 on the road. The Philadelphia 76ers 5-1, 4-0 at home at Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we've already heard from Sky Dragon. He is on the Philadelphia 76ers money line. Both teams played on Monday. The Celtics lost 114-109, their first loss of the season in overtime at Minnesota, which means Minnesota at the house has taken out Denver and Boston to start the year. We were on the Denver spot. The Sixers are winning 5 straight wins for them, all except for the Raptors game of the double-digit variety, coming off 146-128 victory at home over the Wizards on Monday. So pace-wise, Boston and Philly playing at almost the same pace. Boston 101.24 possessions a game, Philly 101.17. That's 10th and 11th, respectively. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. And we have Philly at +2.5. They opened up at +1.5. So we've had a 1-point move towards the Celtics. I guess the idea that they will bounce back here on the road in a tough environment in Philly. This total is sitting at 227. It opened up at 227. It initially dropped to 226 and before it started getting bet up to 228.5. Go over to the cash flow then for this spot. You have 23% of the tickets and 45% of the cash on the Sixers, which feels like sharp action, but the line is moving towards the Celtics. 22% of the tickets and 31% cash on the under. It initially dropped to the under before it started moving towards the over. Taking a look at the health, White game time decision is really the only issue here. So just a shooting guard for the Celtics. Take it away, Dutch. Celtics, Sixers in Philadelphia.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Jay Peasy. If you didn't know, he's on the motherfucking intro. I see you, my dude. Troy Torrance. Yeah, nice look with the Wolves, and they definitely bet on at home, but I don't know about at MVP. That might be a stretch, bro. That might be a stretch. But yeah, he looked nice against Tatum the other night, though. I will say that. I like the Celtics here, man. I really do. Shout out to Mr. Trifecta. Let's go. Let's get that money, man. Leprechauns gonna show up in Philly. I mean, it's really what they've been doing. Now, you could say it's a spot where because they put these boys out last year, and but I love the Celtics. I think we even that out with Celtics off their first loss of the season. This is this team together with the Holiday edition, with the KP edition. This was their first L together. The first time they tasted an L. I don't think they liked it. I think Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, and JB both had shots to win that game in Minnesota. Both missed those shots. I think they're gonna come out a little bit gritty, and we know they don't like these boys, man. Last two meetings, average win 16 points per game. Boston Celtics 2-0, obviously, in both of those matchups against the spread. 5-1 ATS last 6 in Philly. They like those cheesesteaks. 9-3 ATS last 12 overall versus these boys. 8-4 straight up in those games against the Philadelphia 76ers. Really haven't played anyone good. I mean, we could say Phoenix. Without Book, without Bill, they handle business. They did lose to Milwaukee, which, as we see, Milwaukee ain't really clicking yet. So You have the trade with James Harden. You lose a big piece, a starting big piece. I think a big piece in the locker room, a leader in PJ Tucker out of there. No one's really talking about that too much. Did bring in some other pieces. But mainly here, I think what it is Joel Embiid will get his, but I don't think Maxey. I think Maxey gets somewhat contained in this game by Mr. Motherfucking Drew Holiday, one of the more elite perimeter defenders in the game. Maxey's going to have his hands full, and we know they're going to have their hands full with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, the best thing going. So I look for the Celtics here. I got it at -1.5, -115. Give me the best number. Celtics handle business in Philly. There's levels to this shit. And the motherfucking Boston Celtics on another level than the Philadelphia 76ers. I'm sorry. James Harden fucked that team up like he does most teams. And Joel Embiid is going to get his like he does against Philly, or, against Boston. But the Celtics are another animal, man. They really are. This is good money right here.
Celtics -2 at -108. Celtics -2, -108. DC Cap.
That's Dennis Garcia, right?
Yep.
Yeah, motherfucker. He likes Philly, huh? He's trying to get too cute today, Jim. He has a tendency to do that at times. Sharp as fuck.
Troy Torrance joining you on that. Let's move on to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We have the LA Clippers, 3-3, yet to win on the road. At the Brooklyn Nets, 3-4, have yet to win at home. We're at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Both teams playing at similar pace. Brooklyn 100.93 possessions a game. That ranks 12th in the NBA, while the Clip Show are 100.42 possessions a game. Clip won't have Plumlee in the lineup, and then Terrence Mann is a game-time decision. Across the court, Brooklyn is dealing with Ben Simmons as a game-time decision. Justin McElvey got the Nets +5 when he hit it. The Clippers come off back-to-back losses on the road. Started with the Lakers, last Wednesday. Then they had 5 days off before they got started against the Knicks on Monday. So they've been in New York now for 48 hours. They lost 111-97 at the Knicks. Nets are coming off back-to-back losses at home, Saturday and Monday. Saturday, they lose by 10 to the Celtics, 124-114. And then on Monday, they lose to the Milwaukee Bucks, 129-125. Let's get into the line history here for this one. And we have Pinnacle hanging a 5, but other books are hanging 5.5s now. And this opened up at 4. Initially, it moved to 3.5 before the sentiment around backing the Clippers started growing. This has gone up to 5.5 at Pinnacle and then dropped. It just dropped back to 5 20 minutes ago, but we see 5.5s all over the board. Let's get into the total here for this one. Clippers, Brooklyn Nets. We have this total at 231 over at Pinnacle. This total opened up at 226. We've gone up 5 points on this total. We got up to 231.5 before there was any buyback, a half-point of buyback. 5-point move in the NBA is a little surprising here. And when we take a look at the cash flow, you have 34% of tickets and 78% of cash on the under. But the market's quickly moving to where the public is on the over. And then you have 37% of tickets on the Clippers and 71% of cash. After 2 nights in New York, do the Clippers bounce back from that loss to the Knicks? Take it away, Dutch. Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah, man, this game is tough for me. I think it's kind of hard to go against Brooklyn, to be quite honest with you. I can make a lot of cases for it, though. But obviously, they are 3-0 or 0-3 straight up at the crib. But they are 2-0-1 against the number. Covered every game this year outside of a push. They're a gritty basketball team. They really are. I mean, they're in every fucking basketball game. A big part of it is Cam Thomas. That dude's fucking elite, from an offensive perspective. The numbers he's putting up so far this year, his numbers have been elite so far. So he's, I think it's 26.5 right now. It's hard not to go to the window with that. I mean, he gets 30 at ease, coming off another 40-point. I mean, and he had 40 last time he's seen the Clippers as well, too. So that did stand out to me. But I was looking here. The Clippers are 0-3 straight up on the road, as you mentioned, Jim. Haven't covered one game on the road this year. The addition of James Harden, played 31 minutes, which was a little surprising to me. I did have over 5.5 assists in that game, so I was happy to see it because it took all damn near 31 minutes for him to get it as he finished with 6 assists. Did have 17 points, three rebounds, only 2 turnovers, but a minus 18 on the court, and no one had as they got blown the fuck out in New York by 16. So it's, but to me, these are almost like, you look at the rosters, it's like, man, these are kind of like the same teams, except for, everyone's trying to check the part over there a little bit more on the Clipper side. Outside, I would say Mikal Bridges. I think this game is going to be a lot of up and down, to be quite honest with you. No Claxton is big. I don't know how they're going to protect the paint Brooklyn is. So I would look for the Clippers to get right here after getting smacked hanging around in New York. I think it's a Clipper spot, Jim, but it's hard to go to the window. I was going to bet Ben Simmons. Now that he's questionable, over 15.5 rebounds and assists at minus 111. He's went over this number 5 out of the last 6. He's averaging 10 and 16, just brought down, I believe, 14 rebounds the other night. I was looking for him to get right back. I believe we're getting value as we hit on this the first couple of weeks. They raised it up to 17, went up to 18. Now it's back down to 15.5. I believe there's value there, but now 25 minutes ago, as you mentioned, he comes out with the questionable tag with these motherfuckers, man. So I won't make that official here.
I would like to back the Clips to expect them to bounce back here, but
I think it's the right side.
I think that there's some legitimacy from what Jay Soul's saying, that the Nets are giving them OKC Thunder vibes from a couple years ago, undervalued and then against the spread machine. I just feel like you could be in control of this bet on the Clippers the whole time, and then not cover at the very end. It's just
I mean, Russ played nice on the side. Honestly, the game got out of hand pretty quickly, but Russ didn't have a bad game. He had 14, 4 and 4. It was really Paul George and Kawhi Leonard who didn't look the same out there. And I was worried. I think we all kind of focused in on, you got Russ and James Harden starting. They didn't look as bad to me as Kawhi Leonard and Paul George did in one game. Just in the start, they played like shit in New York. Check the numbers. They didn't play very well, especially Paul George. But yeah, I look at it as a get right spot for the Lakers or for the Clippers. But I got to see it, bro. I got to see it. It's for me to put my hard-earned money on it. Like, I got to see it, and I do stand with my bad whoever said that about the Nets, because they're a gritty basketball team. They really are. I like them I like them a lot more with Claxton out there and a healthy Ben Simmons. But they got some basketball players, absolutely.
And JPZ says, yeah, no one likes to bet the Nets since the Stars left. They give 2 fucks and they're balling. Dabby Cab in the house. All right, let's move on to a really fun spot just down the road from Barclays Center. We head to MSG in New York. San Antonio Spurs at the New York Knicks. And let's roll into this one. We have the Spurs playing at a pace of 102.24 possessions a game, while the Knicks playing, as usual, in the bottom third of the league in pace, but faster than they played last year, 99.14 possessions a game. You have the Spurs dealing with a little bit of injury issues right now. Johnson and Vassell are game time decisions. So if that's the case, it'll be Shohan and Branham, 1, 2. We'll have to see who will play at the 3, and then Wemby and Zach Collins in the 4, 5. Spurs come off a loss to start out this road trip, and it was ugly, 152-111. Sure, Pop did not enjoy watching them lose by 41 points there. And the Knicks stopped that 2-game losing streak with that 111-97 win that we just spoke of at home against the Clip Show on Monday. Both teams played on Monday. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. We have the total at 223.5. 223.5 opened up at 225. And then from a spread perspective here, we're sitting here with the Knicks minus 10.5, an alarming amount of points. Now, it's an exciting night. Wemby making his Madison Square Garden debut, but 10.5 points seems like a lot, especially when you have a Spurs team coming off getting destroyed by 41 points, which, will not sit well with Pop. You have 70% of the tickets and 79% of the cash on the Spurs, thinking that double digits is too many, but the market's not moving towards them. So I don't know how to get confidence there. Then 76% of the tickets and 89% cash on the under. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Spurs, Knicks at MSG.
Yeah, this game, I was looking to look at San Antonio, to be quite honest with you, because I don't think the Knicks are a team, even though they did blow out the Clippers. I mean, the Knicks just don't really. They play more tighter basketball games, and San Antonio is a young, hungry basketball team. Who obviously want to shine in Madison Square Garden. I mean, who doesn't want to have a big game in Madison Square Garden? But I don't believe Vassell suits up for tonight, and he's a big key to this. And Keldon Johnson, I believe, is a little banged up as well. So, you got two of your bigger pieces out there, and Vassell to me is a big piece for San Antonio especially if you're going to be backing them. So I can't go to the window with it, but I'm not laying double digits with New York. Absolutely not. I like though, Mitchell Robinson, as I watched him play against KP, and he made some comments, it's going to be like guarding KP. Well, KP busted his ass, he was out there hitting them threes. I believe he had damn near 20 points by halftime against these boys, against the Knicks or against the Celtics, So yeah, I would look maybe for Wemby to have a big night tonight, honestly, especially with no Vassell, Keldon Johnson beat up. In Madison Square Garden, it's only right, and I think he has a big night tonight. I'll stay away from this game, but I would look for Wemby points, and I'd have to lean the Spurs, but there's no way I could go to the window without Vassell.
19.5 points is the player prop for Wemby. 8.5 boards, juice to the under. Saturated says Knicks team total over. Says Spurs are going to have to show me they can actually play D for an entire game. Jay Soul says on the Spurs tonight, bet on spot for teams off 30-plus point losses. I mean, that was a go-to when I started down in Costa Rica. If any NBA team lost by 30-plus, we automatically bet them the next night, and it was a positive ROI. He says Knicks haven't won consecutive games this season. Historically, don't trust them to cover large spreads. Spurs stay within the number. DG, I was thinking exactly that, Wemby under 19.5 points, because he's been so phenomenal. And now your first game in Madison Square Garden.
He could have the jitters, he could. But without Vassell, there's a lot of shots. This guy shoots a lot, and he was getting around this with Vassell out there. So, but yeah, I'm not going to bet it because I still think like this guy has moments, but he also has moments where he kind of does look like everything's moving a little too fast for him. But he'll be all right. It's still early. That's a little high. I thought it was going to be a little lower than that, to be quite honest, but I'm going to stay off of that.
I am very interested in the Wemby under 19.5 points. It was my first thing that I thought of here. And, the Knicks, and you talked about Mitchell, there's a lot of reason to defend tonight. You don't want Wemby to make you look bad. And here, Wemby, first game at MSG. God, I don't know. And everyone's going to be on that over. DG says he's betted every game. OT's been killing him. I'm interested in that under 19.5 points. I try to stay away from player props, but if I was going to move on one, at least it's an under. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. 8 p.m. Eastern. Phoenix Suns 3-4, 2-2 on the road at the Chicago Bulls. 3-5, 2-2 at home. We're at United Center in Chicago, Illinois. We have the Bulls playing at the third slowest pace in the league, 97.67 possessions a game, and that's why you heard Dutch exclaim in shock when the Bulls were able to put up 130 points on the Utah Jazz. That snapped a 3-game losing streak for the Bulls. They had lost by 22 at Denver on Saturday. So they beat Utah 130-113 on Monday. The Suns haven't played since Sunday. This road trip, they played Detroit. They beat Detroit 120-106 on Sunday. That was the second half of a back-to-back. They played Philadelphia on Saturday, Sunday. They've been off for 2 nights, and here they are in Chi-Town. We take a look at the injury issues that have been following around the Phoenix Suns. Booker and Damian Lee are out, and Beal is a game-time decision. For the Bulls, Williams and Caruso are game-time decisions right now. So the starting 5 for the Bulls: White, Levine, DeRozan, Craig, and Vooch. That's if both Caruso and Williams are unavailable. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. Bulls, Suns. We have what the hell? Sorry about that. We have it not. Here we go. Finally, sorry about that. The Bulls are sitting at -1. They opened up at -1 at -105. They're now at -1 at +104. So we're probably better off taking a look at the money line in this one instead. Let's move over to the money line, get a better idea of the market movement from a money line perspective, and move over to Pinnacle as well. Pinnacle has the Suns at -109. They opened up the Suns at even money. So there's been a 9-cent move towards the Phoenix Suns. And from a total look, God, sorry, give me a second here. And get this up here. It's refreshed. While that's refreshing, the cash flow in this one, 77% of the tickets and 98% of the cash are on the under. 77 and 98 on this under. It's sitting around 219. Pinnacle's moved it to 218.5. This opened up at 221.5. So we've dropped 3 points. So at least if you're on a very public spot, at least the market is showing some concern about it. And from a spread perspective, 28% of the tickets and 52% of the cash is on the Bulls. From a money line perspective, 16% of tickets and 48% of cash is also on the Bulls here. And why wouldn't we join them? They seem like seems like everybody would want to back these Phoenix Suns. Take it away, Dutch. Suns, Bulls. Sounds like an interesting spot.
Yeah, man. I honestly think if the Bulls, if Caruso and Williams suit up, I believe it's the Bulls. I believe it has to be the Bulls here. I don't trust Phoenix, man. I really don't. I think, now they're going to put Beal back in. He's a big piece. First game back, he's not going to be all the way right. They're going to try to fit him in. Could mess it up a little bit. But we got to see these boys right with Booker. All three of them out there playing basketball. I still think they need to make a move for Malcolm Brogdon. They don't have a point guard, and they need one to do with the things that they want to do, in my opinion. We'll see how that run with Beal. And he is going to run the point. So, we'll see if he's maybe a little bit more of a distributor. But what I know of Bradley is he likes to shoot. So I expect him to do that because he's pretty good at it. But I don't think he'll be all the way right. Chicago coming off their best performance of the year, hanging around at the crib. The Suns do have Lakers on deck. I don't know. I don't really have too much confidence in the Chicago Bulls, to be quite honest with you. But I do believe it's a Bull spot here. They match up quite, decently with them. I do believe Levine should be able to get his. DeRozan's had 2 big games against these boys as well. 2 recent matchups. I believe he's had 25 plus, but hasn't really found his rhythm yet. So I think he might be due for a game. But he's played real well against Phoenix, so this could be a good time. But yeah, I would expect the Bulls this to be a competitive basketball game. Could make cases for both sides. Strong lean to the home team here, Jim.
I'm very interested in the Bulls.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the Bulls here to take care of business. As you said, with Beal coming back, it just feels like the perfect spot for the Bulls to continue off, what happened in that first game of this homestand. This is a team that's 3-5 that needs wins desperately. The Suns don't have that kind of pressure on them. They just got to get healthy. Very interested in that spot. That is Suns Bulls. Let's move on. 8 p.m. Eastern, and we have a huge game. LA Lakers 0-4 on the road to start the year, 3-4 on the season. At the Houston Rockets, 3-3, but 3-1 at home. We're at the Toilet Center, Houston, Texas. We've heard from 2 of our guys in the chat. First off, LJ from H-Town, the Trill OG play of the day is the Rockets first half +2.5. Rockets first half +2.5. And then BJ has moved on the Rockets +2.5 as well. So 2 spots from our cappers in the chat. Houston playing at the slowest pace in the league, 96.82 possessions a game. Lakers at 99.68, a 23rd fastest pace in the league. Gregory Wilson said he grabbed Lakers money line -150 yesterday, 1K to win 666, the biggest NBA play of the season for Gregory Wilson, our guy Greg, who we hung out with at Public Palooza. Wine Time Sports says I'm on the Rockets plus 4.5 here, guys. I expect this to be a really close game. Rockets starting five is playing better than the Lakers starting five right now, and I think they want this game more. Von Polo on the Rockets money line, Robert Frankel on the Rockets plus 2.5, and Saturday looking at Sengun points, rebounds, and assists. Let's take a look at this spot here. Move over here and let's discuss it. Lakers, Rockets. We have the Lakers coming in off back-to-back losses to start out this road trip. They lose by 19 at Orlando on Saturday, and they followed up by losing by a point at Miami on Monday. Rockets have won 3 straight. They've won against Charlotte, and they won back-to-back against Sacramento. And they beat Sacramento badly. They beat them by double digits. And this is the 4th game of a 6-game homestand. And the 4th and the 5th games of a 6-game homestand are really great spots, I believe, where a team is comfortable at home and has that, that continuity going on that you don't get in a long NBA season very often. This total is at 220.5. It opened up at 218, so we've gone up 2.5 points. And this point spread here is sitting at 4.5 for Houston. This opened up at 2.5. So a real legit move towards the LA Lakers. I mean, that's a move that has to be recognized. We have a ton of game time decisions for the Lakers. Most importantly, the Brow and then Hachimura are both game time decisions. Vincent is out and Thompson out for the Rockets. Let's go into the cash flow here to see if the money is coming in on the Lakers, because that's a big move towards them, all the way up to 4.5. We have 35% of the tickets and 86% of the cash on the Rockets, and yet this line keeps moving towards the Lakers. And then we have 52% of tickets and 91% of cash on the over. That's a lot of money on the over, but the market is moving in that direction. We've seen it clearly move in that direction. Take it away for us here, Dutchy. Lakers, Rockets at the Toyota Center.
Yeah, man. Another stat I didn't want to drop that I had written down. I missed it on that Bulls. They've lost 7 straight to the Suns too. So you lose that many times to a fucking basketball team, you're bound to beat these motherfuckers. Because tonight could be the night. But yeah, back to this game. Tough basketball game. I want to bet the Houston Rockets, man. I really do here. I mean, first thought, Lakers coming off a close basketball game. LeBron bitching about some calls. Coulda, shoulda, went his way in Miami, but this isn't that good of a basketball team to me, in my opinion. I mean, they've lost fucking 8 straight basketball games on the road. Specifically on the road, they're not that fucking good. But just when you watch them play the roster, I mean, LBJ's playing out of his mind, especially at his age. AD's playing, a really, really good defense, blocking a lot of basketballs. If he's on the court, he's playing. He's playing good, but I just don't really. Austin Reeves finally had a good basketball game. He's been playing not under what they've expected. D'Angelo's so damn streaky. I guess Rui coming back, expect a little bit of help here, but the Rockets are a gritty basketball team. As you mentioned, they smacked the fuck around the Sacramento Kings, given they didn't have, De'Aaron Fox, but beat them pretty badly both times out. They have been chilling at the crib where they're 4-1 against the number last 5, and they've won 6 out of the last 9 basketball games straight up overall. So Houston's been pretty gritty finished a little bit solid and then starting off here, winning 3 in a row against suspect, competition with the Hornets and obviously no De'Aaron Fox Kings, but winning basketball games in a nice fashion. And they are top 10 in 3-point field goals, top 10 in points allowed as well. So 2 things you might not think that they are, the Houston Rockets, that they actually play pretty solid defense as well when it comes to allowing points. So something that the Lakers are not able to do is make perimeter shots. They're shooting damn near, bottom tier in the league, under 30% from 3-point range. I don't think it's going to get any better when you look at the roster too. Where's the shooters at? I mean, Austin Reeves isn't a 3-point shooter. I don't know if they're telling themselves that he is. He isn't. and neither is LeBron James. And they say they want Anthony Davis shooting 6 threes a game. Well, there's a reason, because they ain't got nobody else to shoot motherfucking 3-pointers. And in this league, you got to knock down perimeter jump shots. And Fred VanVleet's been a nice addition to Houston. Now that the numbers creeped up to 4.5, I guess you could say, damn, that's, a big move towards the Lakers. But it makes it more appealing to me to go to the window with the Houston Rockets. I'll probably get to the window here. Maybe by the end of the show, I'll think about it. I want to look into it a little more, but I don't like what I see out of the LA Lakers, to be quite honest with you. And I haven't watched too much out of the Houston Rockets, but they're playing better basketball than the LA Lakers. They're at home and they're getting 4.5 points. It's definitely a strong look.
Yeah, it makes sense. So the thought process in the chat is the market move is solely based on AD being announced in. Do you agree with that?
I mean, he said he was going to play last night. So I mean, Rui was the only real news, and he ain't worth a fucking half a point, let alone 2. So I don't agree with it that it's an AD being announced in. I mean, I think people knew he was going to play since last night. He came back and played in the second half of the game in Miami.
Well, I'm going to stay off the spot in Lakers Houston. Let's move on to the next spot on the board. We do have a lean though from Dutchy. We heard the trilogy play today, Rockets first half, and then BJ's best bet is on the Rockets. All right, let's roll on. Next up for us, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have the Miami Heat 3-4 yet to win on the road at Memphis Grizzlies 1-6, 0-3 at home. We're at FedEx Forum, Memphis, Tennessee. Miami playing at a faster pace than they did last year, 100.36 possessions a game, 17th in the league. Memphis, 102.19, playing at a pace that is 8th in the league. Heat with back-to-back wins. They opened up that small 3-game homestand with a 109-105 loss at home against Brooklyn. Followed that up with a 121-114 win at home versus Washington, and then beat the Lakers 108-107. And the Grizzlies finally got on the board. Needed back-to-back games in Portland to get a victory, and they got one 112-100 on, that would have been Friday night. Sorry, my bad. Sunday night, right? Sunday the 5th and then Monday the 6th. Yeah, so on Sunday night, and that was a 3-game road trip. They finally got a victory. So let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have Miami as 1-point road favorites. They opened up -1.5. They got up to -2. They're sitting at -1.5 right now. Probably get a better idea of the market move if we look at the money line. So why don't we just do that? So at least we've done our due diligence here on the money line. While that's popping up here, let's get over to the cash flow for this spot. You got 56% of the tickets, 59% of the cash on the Heat. On the money line, 28% of the tickets and 37% of cash on the Grizzlies. So it looks like there are some bigger bets there on Memphis. Memphis right now around even money. It's -103 at Pinnacle. Memphis opened up at +104, so a 7-cent move towards them. Honestly, I have interest in Memphis here. It's hard to say that out loud. But I do here. This total is dropped to 217.5. It opened up at 220.5, so we've dropped 3 points. And then when we look at the cash flow on the total, again, it's dropped 3 points. We have 58% of tickets and 96% cash on the under. So it looks like a sharp move towards this under. Taking a look at the injury situation here, Butler is a game time decision, and we know that the mess that Memphis is in right now. But they have Marcus Smart and Desmond Bane out there. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Heat Grizzlies.
Yeah, man. This is breaking down these games, Jim, especially this big card. I honestly feel like I could damn near make a play in every basketball game. Got to be disciplined though. And I want to bet the Grizzlies here as well, but I'm not going to. I think it's a perfect spot for the Grizzlies, to be quite honest with you. They got to win, at home for their fans. I mean, they've been so damn good over the years. They're going to show up there in the Grindhouse. It's a tough spot to play, and it's really more of a spot play. I mean, Miami just had a big win, 1-point win, big win against the Lakers. And then now that they go out on the road, I mean, they're not playing good basketball as it is. I mean, they're not. Are they really going to care too much about this basketball game? I think not, and I think Memphis is ready to get a fucking home win for their fans. So I definitely think there's value here with the Memphis Grizzlies. I just don't like what I've seen. Jaren Jackson has been playing pretty solid basketball. You're getting, what you're going to get 25 plus out of Desmond Baines. But outside of that, I mean, Marcus Smart's not really been that great, not transitioning in too well to the team. They're missing down their big boys down low and Adams and Clark. I just don't really like this Memphis Grizzlies basketball team, but I do believe in simply as a spot play, it's the Grizzlies, especially being a dog at the crib.
Yeah, I'm going to bet them. I'm going to move on them. I think that the relief coming home, knowing that we have a victory, what we've seen from the Heat on the road this year is not impressive at all.
Right.
The only thing that would actually get me nervous is if Butler was announced out. And we know what happens when the star's not out there. Yeah. But I like the Grizzlies here. I think this is a real. It's you got to put lipstick on a pig here, but I think it should be done here. Justin McAfee is Grizzlies plus 2.5. Tori Coker agreeing the Grizzlies are the play.
And if you like the Heat, I think you just go with Tyler Hero. Someone said in the chat he's been killing it. He has, man. He's the best offensive weapon they got going right now. He's out to prove a mission. If you like, anything from the Heat perspective, I believe it's got to be Tyler Hero. Outside of that, I like Jaren Jackson to have a big night, and I think Memphis finds a way to get it done at the crib.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet it. That's how much I think of it. I'm going to move on the Grizzlies to add to the card. At this point, I'm going to be on Wemby under 19.5 points, the Bulls, and the Grizzlies. Let's move on. 8 p.m. Eastern, Detroit Pistons 2-6, 1-3 on the road at the Milwaukee Bucks, 4-2, 3-1 at home. We're at Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We have the Pistons on a lengthy losing streak coming off that 120-109 loss at Golden State. They had Phoenix and Golden State back-to-back, but they even lost to Portland at the house. They've not looked good this year. 5 straight losses right now coming into this game at Milwaukee. These Bucks 4-2. They're 3-1 at home. Coming off short wins, they beat the Knicks at home by 5, then went into Brooklyn and beat them by 4. Both teams played on Monday evening. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. Pistons, Bucks. We have the total at 227.5. Let's go over pace again. Sorry, I didn't do that. Milwaukee, the 6th in the league, playing at the pace of 102.25 possessions a game, while Detroit 19th at 100.13 possessions a game. This total opened up at 229. It's dropped a 1.5 down to 227.5. And when we get to the point spread here for this one, we're sitting here with the Bucks as 12.5 point favorites, opening up at 12.5, dropping to 12, and are back at 12.5. Go over to the cash flow for this. On the total, you have 74% of tickets, 76% cash on the over, and this total is dropping. Then you have 41% of tickets and 91% of cash on the Detroit Pistons. If you had money on the Pistons, you'd want to see it move a little bit in their direction. That's not happening at this point. We have a lot of injury issues for the Pistons. Of most importance right now, of course, Bogdanovich and Burks are out. Joe Harris and Ivy are out. Isaiah Livers, Morris out. But Jalen Duren is a game-time decision, and for the Bucks, Middleton is out. Take it away, Dutch. Pistons, Bucks.
Yeah, I got nothing on this one, Jim. I don't like this basketball game. I'm still trying to figure out the Bucks right now, seeing if they, how long it's going to take them to click. Dame and them will be fine. But laying this many points, I would be all over the Pistons, to be quite honest with you, until I was looking at how many people are being questionable for them. Too many big players, as you just mentioned. And I mean, these motherfuckers have lost 6 straight to Milwaukee. So, you would expect them right now to come in. Cade Cunningham's playing good ball. I was looking at maybe the point prop, but because I think he could exploit Dame. No, Dame ain't really got nothing for him. He's 6'6". He should be out there doing his thing, but it's kind of high, so I'm gonna stay away because the blowout could be in effect. But I like Detroit to be gritty in this basketball game. From what I've from what I've seen from Milwaukee, they don't deserve to be this big a favor against anybody in the NBA right now. They'll find a way to win the basketball game, but 12's an awful lot.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Cheshire Cat, yeah, it's a dumb saying. The first time I heard the lipstick on a pig saying, though, it's one of those things that just rocked me. I remember I was in a taxi going in Vegas, and the Imperial Palace was under construction. And the taxi driver said, "You can't just put lipstick on a pig. Am I right?" And that was them talking about the Imperial Palace.
Yeah, the link now. They tore that bitch down. It's a link now. It's actually a lot better. I remember the Imperial Palace though.
I loved Imperial Palace. They still have the same problem with the doors. They're not weighted doors.
Yeah.
So if you walk around the link, you can just walk in and break into anybody. Like half the floors are the doors ajar. Half of the floors,
Yeah.
you just walk in, take whatever you'd like. Quick. One story. The girls switched hotel rooms one time, and Sonny and I were walking back to meet up with the girls, but they'd switched rooms, so the door's ajar. We go in. Oh, it was horrifying. Just a dude. It was just the most horrifying. And the guy. Oh God! All right, let me just. What are you guys doing in here? And we're like, oh fuck. It's like the worst thing I've ever seen. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. All right, let's move on. But the door is ajar at the link, man. Take whatever you'd like. 8 p.m. Eastern, New Orleans Pelicans at Minnesota Timberwolves Target Center, Minneapolis, Minnesota. These Pelicans playing at a pace of 100.71 possessions a game. Remos, it was a man. And yes, there was boobies out, sure. Minnesota 98.87 possessions a game, 26th in the NBA. Let's take a look at the situation here and hand it over to Dutch. But my card's starting to come together. And the last couple of shows we've had with Dutch, my card has come together, and I have been in the black. I like where it's going. Let's talk about this spot right here. Dutch's Pelicanos coming off back-to-back losses, double-digit variety at home against Atlanta, 123-105. And then on Monday, they lose at Denver by 18, 134-116. Timberwolves have won 3 straight. We got on them against the Nuggets. They followed it up with a win at Utah and another win versus Boston. So here they are. This is game 4 in the final game of the homestand. They head off and play San Antonio on Friday. They have a San Antonio on Friday, and then they have Golden State. 2 games in the Golden State. So let's go into the line history here for Pelicans, Minnesota. We're sitting here with a 9-point Timberwolf favorite. They got up to 9.5. I mean, alarming amount of points. Obviously, injury issues happening here for the Pelicans that are a big part of the reason why the spread is at 9.5. This total sitting at 216. Opened up at 221. We've dropped 5 points on this total. And the spreadsheet play of the day is the Detroit Pistons at plus 12.5. We'll go over that. Detroit Pistons plus 12.5. Mally Mal says Timberwolves trifecta. Watch the injury report. Before the injury report, let's touch on the cash. 60% of the tickets and 51% of the cash on Minnesota. And from a total perspective, we just know that 56% of the tickets are on the over, but this total keeps dropping fast. For these Pelicans, Zion is out. Troy Murphy out. CJ McCollum out. Grand Theft Alvarado out. Herbert Jones game time decision, which means the starting lineup, if Jones is in, is Hawkins, Ingram, Matt Ryan, Jones, and JV. Ugly. For the Wolves, McLaughlin is out. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Pelicans, Timberwolves.
Yeah, man, not too much on this one. Was looking to load up on the Wolves here, and was kind of late to the party. Number got a little carried away. I'm high on the Pelicanos, man, but damn, it's not looking too good with CJ going out the lung issue, and now first BI, then now CJ, and now Zion, and I don't know what the fuck's gonna go on the Pelicanos. I thought they were gonna definitely be a better team. They got to get healthy though. The Wolves have had their way with these boys either way. They won, last 2 meetings, 3-0. The last 3 covered 3 in a row, last 3 meetings, and they've been money at the house, as you kind of touched on it. They're 4-0 against the number at the house, won all 4 games, and they beat the Celtics, the Heat, and the Nuggets at the crib. Pretty impressive. And the Pelicans just lost 2 games back to back, 18 plus points. So, actually each of the games were 18-point losses. So I would expect the same thing to happen here, but I'm not gonna, go and make something official at 9.5. I like the Wolves though. I think the Wolves definitely will be a bet on team, specifically at the crib.
Do you think this is a spot after these huge wins for the Timberwolves, the last game of a homestand, where they might not be focused early in this one? I mean, you just beat the Celtics, you beat the Nuggets.
I can see that. That's a good read there. Right when you said that something clicked. So yeah, I could see them starting off slow. They're all fat and happy overtime win against the Boston Celtics, talking that shit right now. So yeah, I could definitely see a slow start from Minnesota. And the numbers getting up there too.
And then we get to that first quarter dog spot, with a team dealing with injury problems that it was so lucrative last year, and I was so hesitant to move on it throughout. But here, the first quarter, Pelicans plus 3.5. Timberwolves just beat the Celtics. Mally Mal does not see that. Says Pelicans going to run a lineup that ran no chemistry under, if anything.
They're just going to be shooting threes. So with that dude, Ryan and Hawkins, they're 3-point shooters. I took the Nuggets the other night, second half, -7. So they're down 12 at halftime. But I didn't even really watch the game, to be quite honest with you. I checked the stats, and Denver, the Pelicanos were up by 12, but Matt, this guy this dude Ryan had like 6, they had like 10 threes combined between the two, Hawkins and Ryan. So you got to think that's going to not come, that's going to obviously even the fuck out. And that's exactly what happened. But you could see that, they could catch fire. Is Minnesota going to be locked in from the perimeter to start this game without all these studs out there? Probably not. So I kind of like that look, Jim.
I'm interested in it. I don't expect to move on it when the show's over, but I'll be thinking about that today. Let's roll on. 8 and Mally Mal says Timberwolves win with defense. Did you watch last game? Yes, they win with defense against, arguably the best team in the league. Are they going to have the defensive intensity against the Pelicano squad missing superstars? That's the question, and I don't have the answer for that, but I'm interested in it here. Pelicans plus 3.5, or I wonder what that Pelicans race to 20 would be. It would be a monstrous number. I'm interested in it. I'm interested in the Pelicans. I think that you can even get a bigger number here. As the public rolls in on Minnesota. What was the public? Did we even, sorry, I know we discussed it, but let me just look at it again here. The public here in the spot. Geez, sorry. It's up here. Get this over here. What was it here? Here we go. Oh, yeah. 41% of tickets, 49% of the cash on the Pelicans at this point. That's not helpful at all. All right, let's move on. Next spot on the board. We have 4 games left on the show. 8 p.m. Eastern, Cleveland Cavaliers 3-4, 2-1 on the road. The Oklahoma City Thunder 4-3, 2-3 at home, where the Paycom Center. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Cleveland playing at a pace, 100 possessions a game, 20th in the league, while OKC 5th in the league, playing at a pace of 102.86 possessions a game. We have these Cavaliers coming off the win over the Warriors at home, 115-104. The Thunder snapped their 2-game winning streak with a win over Atlanta, 126-117. The Atlanta game was on Monday. The Cavaliers beat the Warriors on Sunday. Let's go into the line history then for this spot. We'll start with the total. The total in this is at 228, sitting at 228. This opened up at 232. It got down to 227.5. So a huge move towards the under in this one. And from a spread perspective, going to have to refresh that to get it going. So while that's happening, let's take a look at where the cash lies here. With the, there we go. 85% of the tickets and 87% of the cash is on the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is a ton. A ton. It's taking a second I need to look at the line history. The site is acting up. On the total, 40% of the tickets and 97% cash on the under. We've seen a huge move towards the under. Take it away for us here. Oh, and let's quickly look at, again, the Cavs. Jerome out, Coro out. For OKC, it's Dort is a game time decision. Kendrick Williams out. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Cavs, Thunder.
Yeah, Jim, this one is one of the more intriguing games to me on the card. I'm pretty high on this OKC team, like to be making money on this year. Shea's one of the top tier players in the league. They got a defense. They got an elite defender in Dort, a nice point in Giddey, and we know they got some bigs with this cat Holmgren and the rest of them. So I really like OKC Thunder here. So as a dog, they do look appealing to me to start off. But I think Cleveland is just now getting their team. They're just now. This is the team that they practiced all off season with. They had them against. They had Jared Allen back against Indiana. Fell short a little bit, but then bounced back and had the best game. Best probably all around game against a very hot Warriors team, especially playing on the road. They were hot. The Warriors have been looking pretty solid this year, especially Steph Curry. But they beat. They handled them. Pretty easily actually. So I think the hype of Chet Holmgren, the hype, I think Cleveland could go in there and win this basketball game. The Mobley, the Allen, I think they could get a little physical, but Cleveland's just not that good on the road. They're really not. I mean, they're not that good of it. They're not a bet on basketball team on the road. Garland is back. So this team is fully healthy. I believe as a healthy basketball team, they're better than OKC. But am I going to sign up to see it for the second time on the road, laying points? Can't do it, Jim. I'm going to watch this basketball game, learn an awful lot. I respect people that want to go to the window with OKC as a home dog because I do believe they'll be in this basketball game. But I think the Cavaliers team has got had high expectations to start the season. And this is the roster that they planned. You got Strus now playing where he belongs, a shooter. You got, Garland back with Mitchell, and then of course Mobley and Allen. This is a really good starting lineup. So figuring it all come together. They are missing Okoro. They do got Wade back. They got the addition of Niang and LeVert now back in his role as a sixth man. It's a pretty good basketball team, Jim.
It is. I can understand the hesitancy in this spot. Let's move on to the big game for us up here tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. The Toronto Raptors at the Dallas Mavericks. These Mavs 6-1, 3-0 at home. American Airlines Center, Dallas, Texas. We look at these lineups, and I immediately think we're the team for the job. Defensively, we match up pretty well against the Mavs, who've looked so good to start the year. We're playing at a slow pace, 96.9 possessions a game. That's 29th in the league. My regular site is down for the market movements in NBA. I don't know why that is. So we're going to switch to a different site here. And let's see which book we will use. We'll use a Pinnacle line history here. Pinnacle opened this up at 5. It's down to 4. Doesn't this line, and there's Fowlish Hound in the house. Great to see you, Fowlish Hound. We love you here at Pub Sports Radio. Doesn't this remind you, Dutch, of the Raptors Bucks spread that went from 5 to 4? Now, if we look and see the public all over Dallas, I mean, we moved on the Raptors and they destroyed the Bucks and shot, beautifully. Wine Time says he's all over the Raps, plus 4.5. Let's take a look at the line. Oh, we looked at the line history. Sorry, right there. Let me move over to that is the spread. Let's go over to the total. This total here opened up at 223 and it's gone all the way up to 226.5 at Pinnacle, which is really not what I would expect here, with Anunoby and Barnes that should be able to defend. I mean, you have Schroeder on Luka, but Anunoby's going to help or Luka will just go off. I'm a little surprised that this is just fired all the way up on the total. I was interested in the under. Maybe then I should just take the Dallas Mavericks team total under. 48% of the tickets, 72% of the cash on the Raptors. It's clear, sharp look. 66% of tickets and 75% cash on the over, which makes me not want to try to beat that here. Ken Wood liking Scotty Barnes over 34.5 points, rebounds, assists, and over 2.5 turnovers. Mouse says, I think Dallas wins the game. Raptors can't go down 20 versus a team with Luka. Robert Franklin looking at the Barnes double. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Raptors, Mavericks at American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, this game's extremely sharp here to me, Jim. It really is. I think Dallas finds a way to win. They got the closer and Luka the motherfucking Don, and they got, Kyrie. Lively's been probably one of the better draft picks so far, definitely in recent history for the Mavericks, but been a solid rookie so far here. I like what I'm seeing out of him. I think Grant Williams has been a decent addition to the Mavericks as well. They're getting the most out of it, but that's just what great players do, man. Luka's that good. I think that's what separates them here. I think these are two teams that really different rosters, complete different rosters. I'm not saying that by any means, but I think they're kind of the same basketball teams. Can beat anyone, can lose to anyone, but definitely plays up to their competition. And I think the Dallas Mavericks got what it comes down to is they got the closer, man. They got the best player on the basketball court and Luka the motherfucking Don. Schroeder over 21.5 points and assist. I like that looking off a lot, Robert Franklin. I cashed on it. It's getting up there a little bit now. It was 19.5. I was liking that. It's getting up there a little bit, but Schroeder's fucking on a mission. He's on a mission. He's playing elite basketball from his perspective. I like what I'm seeing an awful lot out of Schroeder. That's why I believe they could be in this basketball game. I definitely think you can make a case to get the points, Jim, but I think fourth quarter, the Mavericks, especially this year, have shown me that they're back to what they did 2 years ago. They didn't do this last year. They lost these basketball games. 2 years ago, they won every single one of these basketball games. Now, they are 1-6 ATS against the spread at the crib. And like I mentioned, I think this number is very sharp. I wouldn't be surprised if the Mavericks win a 4-point basketball game. But they don't lose this basketball game. I think Luka finds a way. I'm going to stay off of it. But I definitely think the Mavericks win this basketball game. But I think it's awfully close.
Do you agree with this total climbing? The first move was towards the under, and then it just climbed and climbed and climbed. I mean,
yeah, I don't like the over here. I don't agree with that. I think Luka obviously will slow it down, and then we know Toronto, as high as I am on Schroeder and the athleticism that you got over there in Toronto, they have a problem putting the ball in the bucket, So I don't really think overs with Toronto, and Luka likes to slow it down.
Yeah, but I don't think I want to go up to this market move. The Mavs team total under would be the only way to do it. But okay. I've got to make some decisions in this game, but it does feel like there's sharp money on the Raps. DC Capper moving on the Mavs, and we've already heard from Wine Time on the Raps plus 4.5. Wine Time says Raps always play the better teams. Good. Yeah, they play up to the level of their competition, no doubt about it. 2 games left. Let's move on to the big one, 10 p.m. Eastern. The Golden State Warriors, 6-2, 5-1 on the road. And the Denver Nuggets, 7-1, undefeated at Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. Let's get into the line history here and the setup. The Warriors bounced back from that 115-104 loss at Cleveland by beating the Pistons 120-109. They head to Denver, who last defeated the Pelicans on Monday night, 134-116. 3 straight victories for Dallas since that loss at Minnesota, the lone loss of the year. We got Minnesota on that one. That was the same night we had the Raptors against the Bucks. It was a very clean night, except I was on the under in Raptors Bucks in that loss. So it was a 2-1 spot. Let's move over to the line history for this one. Move over here. Sorry, again, we switched sites. The other one went down. So we've got Warriors and Nuggets, and we have line history at Pinnacle. We have Denver opening up at -3, and that's where it's been. It's been between -3 and -3.5. That's all it's been throughout. From a total side of things, this opened up, at 227.5, and it got up to 228.5. But right now it's sitting at 227. So we've had a small move down to the under. Looking at the cash flow for our second to last game on the board, 72% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on the Nuggets. The line's not moving towards them. Then 21% of tickets and 60% of cash on the under. The line is moving towards that under. And why wouldn't it? If Denver is going to control the pace, they're playing at a pace of 98.44 possessions a game. That's 27th in the league. The Warriors playing at 100.31 possessions a game, which is 18th in the league. And the Nuggets, though, their last 3 games scored 125, 123, and 134. It's actually, you would think, probably a low total for the way the Nuggets have been playing. But then you would say, look, there's going to be high intensity here. Take it away for me, Dutch. Warriors, Nuggets, Ball Arena, Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, man, it's mile high all day, man. I like this game an awful lot. I like the Nuggets -3. They won 3 straight at home against these boys. Covered in all 3 of them, won 3 straight meetings versus these boys, and also covered in 5 straight basketball games against the Warriors. Won all 3 of these. They've won 3 straight at the crib here in the Nuggets, playing good basketball. Their average win in these 3 wins at the 17 points a game. So they're blowing out their competition. They're doing what they do in Denver. And the Warriors, no Draymond tonight. I believe that's going to be key. They really got nothing for the Joker. I like over 22.5 rebounds and assists. Got that at -125 as well. He's averaging 27.5 rebounds and assists his last 3 meetings, and went over this number in 3 straight basketball games. Without Jamal Murray, he's touching the ball even more. So look for the assist to go up even more. Reggie Jackson's his replacement, not more. He's more of a scoring point. So, I like the Nuggets an awful lot here. The Warriors have been moving around too. They started off, I believe, in Detroit. They started off a long travel. They went to Cleveland, Detroit, OKC, and now they're here in Denver. The last game of a 4-game road trip. Fourth game in 6 nights, I believe, as well. As you got the Nuggets just posted up at the crib, loving life, winning basketball games by double digits. I believe it happens tonight again, to be quite honest with you. I think they run the Warriors out the gym. No Draymond, not too much size. Joker and the boys. Look for a big game from Michael Porter Jr. He's due. And, Gordon's been doing his thing. Yeah, I like the Nuggets here. -3 is good money.
Let's get that for you. Why would the line be so low? Is because Jokic's game time decision?
I just think it's the Warriors, man. The Warriors been playing real good basketball. No Jamal Murray. No Jamal Murray. No Jamal Murray's big, but Joker's even bigger, And I just think, home court advantage. But yeah, no Jamal Murray. And I guess the fact that, Joker's gonna play, so I just take no Jamal and all the love for Golden State. It's kind of like the same thing with the Lakers, like money's just coming in on the Lakers against the Houston Rocket team. That's just what it is.
All right, well, let's move over to a Pinnacle and see what we can get you for this line. See if we can get you a 3. I don't think it'll be too expensive here. The 3 for the Nuggets, actually, it will be. It's moving in their direction. -123. 3.5 at -110. What would you prefer, Dutch?
What's the 3 you got?
-123.
Yeah, we'll do the 3.5.
-3.5.
Because Draymond got listed out because it was down to 3 at most places, and then Draymond. So now it's back up. This will probably this will close at 4 for sure.
Let's move on to the final spot on today's show. The Portland Trail Blazers dealing with a ton of injuries. The backcourt, everybody was so excited about, out. So you have Brogdon and Sharp, Thibault, Jeremy Grant, and Ayton. And then for the Kings, no De'Aaron Fox, no Trey Lyles. So Davion Mitchell and Brogdon going up against each other. That is the situation. No Scoot, no De'Aaron. Let's move on to... Oh, wait, saying something, Dutch?
No.
Okay, sorry, my man. The Blazers 3-game surprise 3-game winning streak snapped in that loss to Memphis at home. The Kings have lost 3 straight, and you nailed it when you talked about what was going to happen to this Kings team without De'Aaron Fox. You said it to us on the show last appearance on Wednesday, and you absolutely nailed it. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. we have the Blazers opening up as 8.5-point dogs. They got to 7.5 pretty quick, and then back to 8.5, 7.5. They even got up to 9.5 for a little while. They're sitting at 8.5, and it's a very juiced. Actually, it's not juiced anymore. There was just a move about 45 minutes ago, a big move towards the Blazers at the 8.5 number. But shit, that was the wrong book to look at anyway. Sorry, we've moved to 8 at Pinnacle. So I was looking at Bet Victor, my bad. So this has gone from 8 to 7.5 back to 8 at Pinnacle. Right now, the 8 is juiced towards the Kings. So we have a slight move towards Portland. From a total perspective, we opened up at 220.5, and we're now at 222. So we have a move to the over and a slight move to Portland. We get to the cash flow for the final spot here on the board. We have 52% of tickets, 87% of cash on Portland. Then 62% of tickets, 66% of cash on the over. Portland playing at a pace 98.96 possessions a game, 25th in the league, while Sacramento 99.69. LJ from H-Town says Kings first quarter fade Portland on the road in the first quarter. Take it away for us here, Dutch. Final game on the board, Blazers Kings.
Yeah, I was hoping De'Aaron Fox would be in the lineup here, and we could look to get right here. I was going to go first quarter, first half, or probably Sacramento. No Fox, no bueno for me. Clear King spot, though, back at the crib after getting smacked not once but twice by Houston, and I believe damn near by 30 in this last one. So this is a spot you'd expect Sacramento plays well in front of the Kings crowd to get right. I believe they will, but this is a big number here. And Portland still does have some talent. That starting lineup you mentioned didn't sound too bad to me, to be quite honest with you. But obviously now the bench is really, there's no bench really now. I can't go to the window here. But I'd definitely be looking when De'Aaron Fox gets back for the Kings to get back to their winning ways.
Stay off spot there. Let's review all action here in NBA. By the way, Torrey Coker gave us a Heat first half over 111. Dutch starts his card with the Pacers team total over 123.5. Then he moves on Celtics -2. I start my card with Wemby under 19.5 points, and that's my first player prop of the year, and I take him very rarely. Then I have two sides. I start with the Bulls, and then I have the Grizzlies. Dutch was leaning towards the Rockets, but didn't.
Yeah, I'm going to make that official. My bad.
No worries.
+4.5. My bad, Jim.
No, that's all good. Let's lock that in for you. Rockets +4.5 -109 right now. Rockets here we go. Rockets +4.5 -109. That's available right now at Pinnacle. Then I got the Grizzlies. Spreadsheet play today is Detroit +12.5. I have some interest in the Pelicans first quarter. I have some interest in the Raptors. It just feels like the market's telling us they're going to be in this basketball game. Jokic over 22.5 rebounds and assists for Dutch, as well as the Nuggets -3.5. That is double up spot for Dutch, and then we're off Blazers Kings. That is our NBA breakdown today. Dutch, thank you so much for rocking with us. Dutch, of course, the star of Medicate Mondays, alongside a great group starring Dabby Cab, LJ, Razor, Mikey M, and they've been crushing it. That's 11 a.m. every Monday right here on Pub Sports Radio. Dutch, thank you so much for making time for us on these huge, massive Wednesday cards, man. You go to town, you do work, and thank you for that. And please follow Dutch on Twitter at DutchBoyFresh. Dutch, any last words here for the Cappers supporting the show?
Yeah, I appreciate you, Jim. Appreciate all the real ones in the chat. Be sure to hit the like button, share the video, and, of course, subscribe to Pub Sports Radio if you have not, man. It's the motherfucking movement. Appreciate you, bro. Y'all stay fresh.
There he is, Dutch Boy Fresh in action right here. Let's review all action on the card. To my surprise, I'm going to be on the Leafs -1 and the Panthers -1. That is a surprise to me. I will be on both those spots. C-Max on Kachuk goal at +170 and Marner goal at +180. He's on the other Kachuk. That's Brady Kachuk goal and Matthew Kachuk over 3.5 shots. Then he moved and he found an over 6 at -113 in Kings Golden Knights. In college football, I'm going to stay off of this card today. C-Mac did move on Eastern Michigan +20. That was another look that Ron Crawford's on, but I'm going to have action. I'm going to have college football action. So C-Mac on Indiana +7. I'm interested in Illinois, and I guess that should just get me off of Illinois. I want to see what happens when Paddock is announced in. which I thought was going to happen. Maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe Altmaier is in. We'll have to find out there. But CMAC starts his best bets with Indiana +7. I'm on Wake Forest +2.5. CMAC, and then I'm on Navy +3. And CMAC is on West Virginia +13.5. His third week in a row, fading the Sooners. Then in college basketball, Dave gave us Florida Atlantic. He bet it at -4. He gave it out here at -6 at -119. Perky Sanderson got in at FAU -4.5. Raymond Reichart liking Loyola Chicago. If you like Loyola, sit back and wait. Line keeps moving towards FAU. Then Justin McElvey, stacks play today's Arizona State +3.5. And our guy Dave gave us the under 131.5. Now he bet it at 134, so very tricky. Then he gave us the under 147 in Jackson State, San Diego, and we just went over all of NBA. So that is our show for today. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us, man. We have nothing without you. Tone Miggins on Sixers money line. I'm interested in that. I wish the Celtics were coming off a loss. I'm very interested in that. Torrey Coker blindly betting unders with a total between 229 and 219. Cheshire Cat, Mally, Mal, Cashman 19, LJ from H-Town, Torrey Coker. What a great group. Dizzy Rothstein, BJ saying Jokic is probable. Robert Franklin on Jokic double. Rez Mob in the house. Andrew G, Fat Cat, Ninja, DC Capper, Ken Wood, Bo Jackson. Thank you guys for your support. The Phallus Hound in the house. Wine Time Sports. Truly, we have nothing without you guys. So thank you so much for the support. Steve G, Rants, all of you guys, thank you. Ian Shaber. Now let's go out there and get that cash. We have a huge week ahead of us here. Huge show tomorrow. And then, of course, we have the Cappers contest at 2 p.m. Eastern. Back-to-back 4-1 weeks for us as a group. It's the best 2-week performance in the 2 years we've done this. We're now 25-18-2, and we have broken to the top 1,000. We'll give you all of that information tomorrow. And I love this. I'm so thankful to rock with you guys. Now, the stakes are high. We must win. We must come in tomorrow and talk about the winning day we had last night. We must. I've got a lot of action to drop right now. So let's go out there and get that cash. Thank you guys for rocking with us. We have a huge day ahead here at Pub Sports Radio. So stay locked and loaded. Don't forget about Mikey M and Last Call at 6 p.m. Eastern. Let's go out there and get that fucking money. Respect Justin McElvey. Let's go out there and eat. Let's it! Hey, Los bookmakers, milk that shit. Milk it.